There he is. There's our big special boy. There's our dude right there.
Eroc 121 super chatted $10. Balls got a breath.
Bulls gotta breathe. Yes, they do. 29% on the dono goal. And balls gotta breathe up to 15%. Looking like we might have a little manosphere content today. Our big birthday boy, Donald Trump. There he is, and that means that I gotta press. I'm down to button pushing time. All right, we gotta do that. Move left to left. Yes, she did. Balls gotta breathe. Yes, they do. Button gotta be pressed. Other button gotta be pressed. And last button, most important button, special button. Massage this button. Okay, that was weird. Apparently all my tech is just fucking me today. Let's take a look at what he said in his press conference in Tucson, Arizona. Wait a minute, am I missing? I just added stuff to this playlist. What is going on? Oh no, chat, I don't understand. Okay, I'm trying to keep it. The 5 got it. Okay, yeah, we did add some of the stuff successfully. Yes, we did. Okay, good. All right, let's see what he has to say here. This is Tucson, Arizona. We watched part of this speech, but not the entirety of it. So let's catch up on the rest of it. No Randy Newman fans in chat. Wait, is Randy Newman like a musician? He's like a songwriter, right? Oh my God, this guy.
It is a very rambunctious crowd.
It's a spicy crowd.
Well, hello, Tucson. It's great to be with you. I love this place. We've been very successful here, as you know. And
is that true? I don't think that's true, is it? Can somebody correct me? I feel like I sort of know Arizona. He's a musician? Yeah, he is a musician. Oh, Randy Newman, not Trump. Okay, thank God. So anyway, Tucson, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, is that in Maricopa County? What in my head, Maricopa is like a long and unwieldy county that encompasses a big portion of the greater Phoenix, what is it called? The Valley, the something Valley, the Valley of the Sun. Yeah, Phoenix, right, area, which is like there's Phoenix itself, and there's a whole bunch of other cities around it, basically, that are basically part of Phoenix. And then there's Tucson to the south, but I think that Tucson is blue. That's what I thought. Yeah, Phoenix is weird in that sometimes it's red. For a big city, can you imagine if Trump was a musician? He'd be like the shittiest musician. Like, what would he play, chat? What would Trump... It's an arid zone. But yeah, Tucson, fairly blue. Phoenix, surprisingly red. Oh my God, look at this. Do you see what I'm saying, chat? Do you see what I'm dealing with? It just does it by itself. Look at that. I don't even understand what's going... How can my computer be so broken? And it's all around YouTube.
I'm thrilled to be
all of the dysfunction has to do with YouTube.
Back in the great state of Arizona with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots.
Circuitry says I used to live there. So can somebody tell me though? Is it in the same county? I'll look it up myself.
That's why this is a nice group. I like it. Look at all those people. Wow.
Do you see what he's doing there? When he does that, look at all those people. He gets out the binoculars, cleans them up. Oh, yeah, I see. He gets out the telescope. Yeah, he's trying to pretend that it's a huge crowd, and it's so big that there's people way the fuck away from him. This is crowd size cope. This is like penis dimension anxiety, but on a electoral scale. Chat, do you think he has electoral dysfunction?
Everyone saw 2 nights ago we had a monumental victory over Comrade Kamala Harris in the presidential debate.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was incorrect. Yeah, Tucson is in Pima County. Why in my head is like Phoenix is in Maricopa County, as is Tempe and most of the rest of the Valley of the Sun.
We won big with independent.
Oh, you know what it is? I bet it's that they're in the same. I bet they're in the same district. Is that even right though? Because that would be like districts go by population, so it wouldn't make sense to put Phoenix and Tucson in the same. Chat, do Phoenix and Tucson vote for the same congressional representative?
Voters, moderates, Republicans, and working people.
My crowd is bigger than yours, says Omegastar. Thank you for the 100 bits. Oh wait, Omegastar, what did I get? Did I get yours from earlier? Thomas Jerome with the super chat. Ruben Galejo is against his own at the border.
People all across this nation putting forward a clear vision to very simply make America great again. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris showed up spewing empty rhetoric, the same old lies, meaningless platitudes, offering no plans, no policies, and no details whatsoever.
See, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Like, right, you can say that she was scant on policy, but then you've got to admit that you were always scant on policy. And what do you supplement that with? Other than aggrievement, other than drama. Trump's a drama streamer. There's no substance to Trump. Like, he can't act like, you know, him just saying words like no tax on tips. That's policy right there. It's not. You're not going into the details of the policy. And Kamala does, you know, does like mention policy in that sense. You can say that she doesn't go into detail on how she would achieve things, like, for instance, getting rid of price gouging, right? You don't just snap your fingers and get rid of price gouging. That takes policy. She doesn't talk about what that policy is in the same way that Trump doesn't talk about the details of things like no tax on tips.
Nothing.
Make housing affordable again? He's not that. This guy's so full of shit. You see right behind him. You've got like slogans, but they're empty slogans. What the fuck would Trump do to make housing affordable again? He doesn't have a policy. He hasn't said it. The other thing is that, like, he engages in personality more than Kamala does. Right? She threw in a few things to get him to go off, and then he went off. You didn't talk, Donald, about immigration. One of the policies that you have the highest rating on in terms of people saying who would be better on immigration. You know, Trump has an advantage there that he doesn't have in a lot of other things. Economics is another one. Didn't really talk about that, right? Yeah, no, he's so full of shit. He's coping. He got his ass kicked. And like, as much as I would like to say that it was Kamala Harris doing the kicking, all she did was put the boot on his foot. He kicked himself in the balls. He Peter coffined himself.
The two anchors, David Muir and Lindsay Davis, sat there and only corrected me on things where I was right, but didn't correct Kamala on Project 25 that I knew nothing about. On the
Sorry, dude, you're too tied to that. That's not a correction. That's not a fucking correction.
bloodbath hoax that has been totally debunked, which
You said bloodbath in a weird fucking way. Some people think that's a dog whistle. See, things like this, you could say it's subjective. You could say that it's not like a 100%. Like, you know, you could say that you could report it. You know, if you're a reporter, if you're a journalist, you could report it like, you know, if you're, you know, on some like network where you're supposed to give the most neutral presentation, you could say that Democrats link Trump with the Project 2025 plan, and connect it to, you know, his vice president, connect it to a lot of people in his cabinet, a lot of people in his administration, a lot of people in his transition team. But Trump says that he is not, you know, tied to that he is not bound to that that has nothing to do with him, right? You could report it like that, but what you can't do is report it like, nope, Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025, unless you're Anna Kasparian and you're grifting rightward. And the reporters that you ran into were playing it down the middle.
Which had to do with the automobile industry that is going to be dying. It's dying under this administration. They're all going to be shipped out to China. And everybody in the automobile industry manufacturing automobiles, vote for Trump. We're going to bring back that industry. These people are killing it. She talked about knowing it was all false. She talked about the Charlottesville hoax, and these people did nothing about it, which has been totally.
Billy Randall says our local Dim candidate Gabe Vasquez is as bullshit on it on the border as Gallegos. It's really annoying.
Debunked, as they say, by Snopes and Snoops and everybody else.
I don't know what to say here. Snopes and Snoops and everybody else.
Hey, go look it up. Go to Snoops.
Go look it up. Go to Snoops. Go to Snoops. Go to fucking. What are you talking about? Snoop Dogg?
Whatever the hell that is.
Whatever the hell that is.
No, I hear that's a liberal site, and they came out totally in favor of me. This got to be a bad thing.
They came out saying that the Charlottesville thing, I believe, that the correction, I think, was that Trump said good people on both sides, that he didn't mean the Jews will not replace us tiki torch people, right? And look, here's what it is. You don't know. He says stuff. It's unclear. It's vague on purpose, because that's how a fucking dog whistle works. He wants the marchers with tiki torches to stay on his side. He doesn't want to light them up, but at the same time, he wants other people to be who like want to vote for him. They're like anti-immigration, but they don't consider themselves. They don't get down with Jews will not replace us. He wants them to be like, oh, see, yeah, no, he didn't really. He wasn't in favor of those people. It's subjective. It's subjective. And the reality of that situation is that Unite the Right March, as he said, I think he actually said this, right, when he mentioned this in the debate, that the Unite the Right March was about a statue of Robert E. Lee, which, if you are a Confederate sympathizer, you call history and heritage and say that it should stay up, right? As if it's just a statue saying, hey, the Civil War happened here. It's not. It's not. Those statues are there for a certain reason. They weren't put up right after the Civil War. They were put up in the times of Jim Crow laws in order to intimidate black people and black voters, and to, you know, kind of literally put black people in their place, right? And these assholes want to keep it there. That's racist, okay? That's racist. Those are the people you were supporting. You said good people on both sides. On both sides. So I'll take the tiki torch people out of the equation and just say that you were talking about people that are in favor of Unite the Right, but not in favor of Jews will not replace us, and say that those people are still racist. Those are Robert E. Lee neo-Confederate stands. Still fucking racist, still fucking problematic, just maybe not as a direct of a connection to anti-Semitism, although there's plenty of direct connections to anti-Semitism for Donald Trump, including when he talked in front of a audience of Jewish people and said, oh, you people really like know how to renegotiate, don't you? Yeah, we got a lot of renegotiators in here, don't we? Yeah, no, like, right? Like, yeah, no, there's plenty. It's a target-rich environment. That's the problem with Trump, is that, like, when people lose to Trump, like Hillary Clinton, a lot of times it's because they cannot focus their fire on the things that will stick the most. They see so many targets, they see so many routes of attack, and they're like, we're gonna attack him on this, and this. And really, you should be like choosing like 3 things, right? 3 things, drill down on them, get them in people's head. That's why Trump won. It's because he lied, but he tells the same lie over and over and over and over and over and over. Russia, 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 blah, 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 blah. It gets in people's head, and that sticks, right? Democrats are talking about like 27 different things, and none of them stick.
But they said they gave you total phony stories. Kamala Harris said that no state allows abortion in the 9th month, which is a complete and total lie. They do.
That's not what she said. That's not what she said. Nobody's executing babies. Come on.
And even after birth in some cases.
There we go. There we go. He's going to repeat the lie. There you go. You're just a liar. You've been a con man all your life. You've ripped people off. You've scammed people. And you continue to do so. You continue to lie.
So she claimed, I want to monitor women's pregnancies. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. It's a total.
I wouldn't do that personally. I would definitely outsource that to somebody from Project 2025, which I know nothing about.
I don't want to do that. Women.
Why would I do that? Why would I spend time doing that when Mike Johnson can do that? He's got an app.
I won't be following you around to the hospital monitoring.
See, the thing is, it actually makes you question. Maybe he will.
No, she made it up. She's a liar. She doesn't work at McDonald's. She said she worked at McDonald's, right? Right? She worked at.
All right, great. Prove it. Prove it. Put up or shut up. You got proof? You don't. Then shut the fuck up.
McDonald's, and she was working so hard. There's only one problem. She didn't work at McDonald's.
Great. Prove it.
She's a liar. Liar.
You're the last person who can call somebody a liar. A lot of Trump supporters actually will admit to you that he lies. But what they'll say is that he's a politician. They all lie. They're all liars. And he's trying to come out here and use liar as an attack, considering that this is one of his, most prominent tactics.
She claimed that I want to deny people IVF treatment when, in fact, I want to require insurance companies to pay for it.
Your Supreme Court justices that you nominated, taking down Roe v. Wade, which you bragged about, paved the way for IVF to be denied in Alabama.
And I came out totally in favor of IVF. That's fertilization for the men in the audience.
Fertilization for the men? Are we going to impreg people? Is that what Donald Trump is offering you? Ben, I know you don't think you can become pregnant, but there's this great thing called impreg, and you totally can through IVF. We're going to get all the men pregnant. All the men have the babies for a few months. We'll see what that's like. Impreg Trump.
I wish we got a lot of tough ones here.
Well, you got to be tough if you're going to have a baby. Yeah, we only want the toughest men, right? Because pregnancy's not easy. Pregnancy's not easy.
Claims she doesn't want to ban fracking when she said repeatedly over a 10-year period, I will not have fracking. Then about a little while ago, she goes, I'd love to have fracking. Her pollster came back and said, this is not good. In Pennsylvania, you want to ban fracking. That's not so good. That's a big part of what they do, right? And she came back. All of a sudden, she thought fracking was wonderful. Here's what happens with all of these things. Right after the election, she goes back to where she was.
I wish that was true. I wish that was true. Look, this is what I thought about Obama, right? I thought that some of Obama's rhetoric suggesting that he wants to be the president for both Americas, I thought he was conning right-wingers, right, into voting for him. I thought that that's who he was lying to. It turns out he gets in office, and it was us that he was conning. He really is about that both sides shit, right? And look, this is the Democrats that we've dealt with since like the 80s. Since the 80s, Democrats have been afraid of their own shadow. When Reagan won twice and his vice president won after that, Democrats decided that they were going to become Republican light. That was going to be the thing that they would offer. If you like taxes cut, if you like deficits cut, if you like the social safety net cut, but you are like a little bit worried that the Republicans might go too far on social issues, you vote for a Democrat. That's what they've been offering. That's what they've been doing. They've been bidding $1 under the Republicans like they were on fucking Price is Right.
She claims she doesn't support mass gun confiscation when, in fact, she supported it entirely, and through her entire career, think of that, she wants to confiscate your guns.
She has a gun. She has a gun. Look, like, here's another issue where most Americans are in favor of more gun control. And again, Democrats scared of their own shadow won't do it. Won't do anything. And if they did, with the current cops that we've got, you know who they'd be taking guns from. It wouldn't be like Bubba. They wouldn't be taking guns off of Bubba's gun rack in the back of his truck. They'd be taking guns from, like, you know, POC families that are trying to protect themselves.
Does anybody in the audience
So no, there's not going to be any gun control.
have a gun? Raise your hand.
Kamala raised her hand for that very question at the fucking debate. You can't use this. I'm sorry, Trump. It's not going to work.
Would you mind if this lunatic knocked on your door? Hello, I'd like to take away your gun.
Is it just me, chat, or is he like a big, slimy, disgusting frog? Anybody else see a frog in this guy? Like, if he has a fursona, he's probably a frog.
Is that our... Especially the women won't allow it. They're not going to allow it. That's unbelievable. What is that, about 100% of the audience? Let's go. Does anybody in the audience not have a...
Can you imagine, though, being MAGA and being like at a rally like this, right? If Trump said something and you were like, no, boo, boo, you would get your ass beat. You would get your ass beat. They would start calling you Antifa, right? If you had one issue that you disagreed with him on, right? Like, say, gun control, you would get taken out of that place in a stretcher.
gun? Wait, there's somebody. So if you want to keep your gun, we don't have to go through the rest of it. You want to keep your gun, vote for...
Poor frogs. Look, I'm not saying that frogs are bad. I'm saying that he's a bad frog.
For Trump, okay? I promise. But, you know, she did something even worse than that. You know what it is? She was the leader of a thing called a movement, Defund the Police. How about that?
She was the leader of the movement to defund the police. She was the leader of the movement to defund the... He's got strong Mr. Toady Hall energy. I haven't seen that in a long time. I know what you're talking about, Alan Raptor. Isn't it a ride in Disney World?
She was the leader of the movement to defund the police. Now think of it. Anybody that wants to defund the police, that's called, she's down
His lizard person mask is slipping.
and dirty left, okay? That's down and dirty.
That sounds cool. Sign me up. That's better than the dirtbag left, chat. Can we be the down and dirty left? Can we be the down and dirty left? Can we get down and dirty?
If she's in there for a week at
Can we be the messy left?
defund the police, we don't
The
want
messy bitch left?
her to be president. We don't want her for anything, frankly. But
She's ruling from the shadows like Sauron says Mozart.
all of a sudden, she says, no, I never said it. You know, she actually goes around saying she never said it. But
R.I.P. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
we've got like 10 years of tapes where she's saying it. With the guns, with the fracking, with everything we mentioned. She had many years of tapes.
The bottom left.
But the public was not fooled. They saw right through it. Kamala's lies and unprecedented partisan interference of two low-life anchors. They're low-lives. For them to do what they did, and they wouldn't correct her on, like, Project 25. I don't know what the hell it is.
Again, it's not a correction. That's a subjective thing, right? You say that you're not connected to it. The fact that J.D. Vance and multiple members of your administration, as well as your transition team, are the authors, says differently.
purposely have not read it. I could, but I don't want to, because they never had my authorization. And for them to allow her to get away with me, everything I said. Oh,
No, all you said is you're going to be dictator on day one, and they've got a plan for that. They've got a plan to take out civil service servants and replace them with your cronies, right? You said that you're going to drain the swamp. Motherfucker, you're a frog. You are the swamp. You're a swamp thing.
well, we don't think
Except for evil.
it's true, like the crime statistics. The FBI didn't report the most crime-ridden cities. They didn't do it. They left out
Yes, because we know how left-wing law enforcement is.
large numbers of areas where they had a lot of crime. So the numbers came in, they weren't up too much. And if anybody in this audience doesn't think there's more crime now,
More like a toad. Are toads worse? Toads have more like warts, right?
there's so much more crime now, but they gave false and fraudulent numbers. They did it with something else. 808.
What if Trump is using Laura Loomer as his blood bag? Wait, is that like a blood boy kind of thing? Is that like a...
18,000 jobs. Think of it. They said they had 818,000 jobs that didn't exist. So your jobs numbers look better, but now they had to do. What happened is they were taken away by a leaker. Usually I don't like leakers, but I like this particular leaker, whoever it was.
Usually you don't like leakers because you're dirty as fuck. Because they're usually leaking on you. Including like most of your... What is it, chat? Of like 40 officials that worked with Trump. I feel like 19 of them have said that they don't support him. Of 40 officials that he had in his cabinet, right? Like half of them have come out and said, including his own vice president, said this guy's dangerous. I was on the inside, I saw what was going on, and it scared me. These are Republicans. These aren't liberals, these aren't leftists, these are Republicans who saw what Donald Trump was really like behind the curtains, and they got scared. Same as Peter Thiel, I got blood bag from Mad Max.
But when a prize fighter loses a fight, you've seen a lot of fights, right? The first
See, now this works when you get asked a question about like, so what did you think about the debate? How'd you feel like you did in the debate? This works, right? Because he's got nothing. He lost the debate. He beat himself up. He's like a prize fighter that uppercutted himself and knocked himself out, right? Biden got, just like Biden. In fact, he definitely Bidened himself during that debate. But if somebody asks him, about the debate, that's a good line of attack, right? To bring up Kamala saying that she wants another debate, which she did right after the debate because she's confident, and say, oh no, it's not because she's confident, it's because she knows she lost. That's the prize fighter that asks for the rematch is the one that loses. Well, not in this case. Not in this case. You are the boxer. Use all the blows that cut you until you cried out in your anger and your pain. I am leaving. I am leaving. And this fighter does not remain. He has said that he is not going to debate again. And he knows what would happen. And his team knows what would happen. They're keeping him away from the debates because that can only go badly for him. Two reasons Trump doesn't read Project 25. Yeah, there was just no colorful children style book illustrations. They should have made it a coloring book. Then he would have checked it out. He would have checked it out. He would have read it.
first words
Like he's gonna go to the library and check it out.
that fighter's mouth is, I want a rematch. I want a
Leaking Badass says Trump doesn't like leakers. That's why he wears diapers.
rematch. And that's what she said. I want a rematch. Polls clearly
God, I mean, Trump, if I was as dumb as rocks, I might believe that.
show that I won the debate against Comrade Kamala.
They don't. You had to go to Twitter. You had to go to like cat turds, like Twitter, to find polls where they favored you. You literally had to get that home cooking served up to you, right? Because the actual polls, the scientific polls, had you losing handily. Fox News had your ass losing.
Kamala Harris.
Your mom says I was AFK because I dyed my hair. I'm back now. I'm jealous. I need to dye my hair.
And as you probably know, because when you say Harris, does anybody know who Harris is? No.
Yeah. Your opponent, you don't seem to know that, though. You seem to think you're still running against Biden, but that's who your opponent is, Trump. You should you should try to get that down better.
Kamala is a very different kind of a word. Nice name, very nice name. But you know her as Kamala. You don't know her as Harris. When you say Harris, everyone says, who the hell is that, right? But she immediately called for a second debate, which means that she was like a prize fighter that lost a fight.
Which means that she did really well and she'd like more of that. She came up and she said, "Can I have some more, please?"
We had two debates, though. I had a debate with crooked Joe Biden, right? And I had another debate.
And you wished you were still running against him.
With
Remember back when you were winning? That seems like a million years ago. It was a million years ago, wasn't it? No, it was only like 2 months ago. But you were winning. You were winning the election.
her. She and Crooked Joe have destroyed our country with millions of criminals and mentally deranged people pouring
Here we go, Hannibal Lecter.
into the USA.
Can we get a Hannibal Lecter? We haven't heard from Hannibal Lecter in quite a while.
Totally unchecked, unvetted, and with inflation bankrupting our middle class, it has gotten bad. Everyone knows this, and
Chat, I want to lighten my hair.
all of the other problems caused by Kamala and Joe. It was discussed in great detail during the first debate with Joe and the second debate with Comrade Harris. She was a no-show at the Fox
What are they yelling? I can't tell.
debate. You know, Fox invited her. She was a no-show.
She was a no-show. There's no debate. There's no debate. Like you said, there was two debates, one against crooked Joe Biden and one against Comrade Kamala. You won the first one because Biden basically defeated himself, and then you did a Biden impression, a very good Biden impression in the second debate, and you cleaned your own clock.
Sat with the great Sean Hannity. Does anybody know?
The late, great Sean Hannity, folks. He'd love to have you. Oh, no. Does anyone know Sean Hannity? That's who I want my moderator to be. I want Sean Hannity and Jesse freaking Waters. Like, seriously, how about Laura Loomer? How about just make Laura Loomer your, make Laura Loomer your moderator?
Good man. He's a good man. And I said, where is she? She didn't show. So we did a town hall. And he got great ratings on that town hall, I'll tell you right now. Got really great. Led all of television for the week. It's not bad, right? Simple town hall. Turned out to be a town hall from what it was supposed to be, but she didn't show up. And refused also to do NBC and CBS. She went over to ABC, which in my opinion has taken a big hit because these two people were bad news. They kept screaming at me. I said, why are you screaming? I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at.
There was one person screaming. There was one person whining. There was one person coping. There was one person seething. It was not, in fact, the moderators. It was not Kamala Harris. It was this guy. It was you. That was you, Donald. You were yelling.
Liked him. I'm not going to watch him anymore.
What, David Murr? I can't say his name right. Murr? What? How do you pronounce his fucking name?
I'm not going to watch him because he's not legit.
Muir? No, it's not Muir.
What he did, I'm not going to watch him.
Oh, he's going to be so sad. He's going to lose one fucking viewer.
And
You just lost subscriber, David.
his hair's not as good as it used to be, you know? Kamala should
Oh, yeah, let's talk about people's hair.
focus on what she should have done during the last almost 4-year period. She kept complaining, well, you know, when I'm in, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And at the end of the debate, I said, why don't you just do it? You could leave right now. Why don't you do it? I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do this and that and that.
Joshua Sill, super chatted $5. What do you think about Trump saying he will end all taxes on overtime? Interesting to say the least.
It sounds more marketing than policy. It's Moore? David Moore. Thank you, Rat. Yeah, again, like, I'd rather hear more policy than sloganeering, and that's kind of what it sounds like. It's like, oh, you work overtime? You don't want to get taxed on that? I'll give you that. Yeah, right while you cut taxes on millionaires and billionaires. And here's the deal, Joshua Silverstein. The real problem with Trump is whatever he does in terms of cutting taxes, he's going to raise essentially a sales tax in terms of the tariffs, right? He's going to put tariffs on goods. He's actually going to raise the cost of goods, right? At a time when people are worried about cost of living, he's going to raise cost of living. He's going to cut taxes mostly on millionaires and billionaires, and even on some of his stuff like no tax on tips, which I have worked for tips before. Believe me, I would love to not have to worry about taxes on tips, both in terms of like figuring that stuff out and keeping track of that stuff, and in terms of having a little bit of extra money in my pocket at the end of the day, right? But it's something that they could actually take advantage of. Rich people could take advantage of that by, like, think of, for instance, a hedge fund manager that takes some of their fee and classifies it as a tip, right? And then they don't have to pay taxes. So, right, it's just more chances, it's more opportunities. The more kind of loopholes he puts in the tax codes, the more that rich people are going to take advantage of those, right? If you're not rich and you're doing your own taxes, you're very, very careful about what you try to take, what you try to write off, right? Because you know that if you do it wrong, you're going to get fucked over, and you might get audited. But if you've got an accountant that can be like, oh no, we can totally do this, you're golden, right? So again, I want to see higher taxes on the rich.
Remember at the convention when she went out and they nominated?
And I want to see more services for the poor. And I want to see a real social safety net.
Even though she got no votes, they nominated. No, she came in last place in the.
But thank you for the super chat.
Right, and then.
Remember, chat. When you do super chat, let me know in the comments or on the super chat itself which of these topics you want to see. We got some bonus content that we could take a look at after the stream. Brianna Wu leaves the left at 30%. Breathe into your balls at 29%. MTG versus Laura Loomer at 25%. AJW Simps for Anna Kasparian at 16%. A combination of the results from the poll. That's the shorts chat. The shorts chat, the main chat right now. AJW Simps for Anna Kasparian is in the lead at 29%. Brianna Wu leaves the left in second place at 28%. Breathe into your balls. MTG versus Laura Loomer in third place at 22%, and Breathe into your balls in fourth place at 21%, right? A combination of those two polls, along with your donos, right? Which when you donate, you can let me know which of these topics you want to see next, and I will both add it to the dono goal, bringing us closer to that magical 100%, and I'll also add it to the topic of your choice, so you can help your favorite topic end up winning and becoming the bonus content that we watch after the stream, just by doing that. If you super chat and it's less than $5, I will read all those donos after. Maybe I'll even do it after just the Trump segment, right? After each segment, I tend to read those. And if you do more than $5, you can actually interrupt me and get me to respond to you in the. You can make me stop what I'm doing. In other words, I got a cat that I've got to let out of my. She snuck into my room and fell asleep. And now that I've closed the door so that my roommates will not complain, she's meowing to get out. So I'm gonna go let her out. I'm gonna let Trump go. Be right back.
She said, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. No, she's a threat to democracy. She is a threat to democracy. But do you remember when she went out and she said thank you? Do you remember that? It was the weirdest thing. Am I wrong? Because they were saying JD and I are weird. No, we're very solid people. She's weird. And that vice president of hers is really weird. He's really... That was a soundbite. They said, oh, he's weird. That was, in other words, they gave it to their...
Chat, I've never known a sneakier cat.
Friends in the fake news. Weird. It's something I've never called. I've been called a lot of bad things, but not weird. But
You're the weirdest of the weird, all right? And look, weird doesn't have to be bad, but your kind of weird is bad. You're weird, you're gross. You're a sicko. You're a real sicko, Donald.
She went out and the people were applauding and stuff. And she goes, thank you, 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 thank you.
Who let the cats out? Meow, 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 meow.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think she went nuts. There was something wrong with her.
Oh my gosh, she said thank you too many times. It's almost like she's got manners. It's almost like she's like a nice person. What, is she not is she not sicko mode? Doesn't she understand that that's what bangs in the algorithm?
But I was very happy because I got the endorsement of the vice president's family. And I got the endorsement
not your vice president.
Of the vice president's brother. And even sent me a contribution. And I was very happy.
He sent you feet pics?
Because Barack Hussein Obama, his brother, as you know, endorsed me. So no.
Is that actually his brother? Is that actually his brother? I don't think that's his brother. I feel like it's like he's talking about a Kenyan guy that's like related to Obama. Kamala Harris is vice president. Oh yeah, it should be Kamala's family. No, he's trying to talk. Let's roll that back. Rob MC, I think you caught something. I think you caught something.
And I got the endorsement of the vice president's brother.
The vice president's brother. Do you know what he did, though? That's not even the good thing. Like, Rob MC's pointing out that Kamala Harris is the vice president, so technically he's saying Kamala Harris's brother, who, yeah, I don't know if she has a brother, but, yeah, her brother definitely didn't endorse him. But you know what? What's really funny about this is that he just called Tim Walz. All right, chat. Let it sink in. He just called Tim Walz the vice president. He's in the mindset where he's already lost. A lot of people, in fact, her odds, Kamala Harris's odds on 538, which were previously reported at 58%, are now up to 60%. She's gone up by as much as 5%, depending on what polls you look at.
And even sent me a contribution.
He admitted losing it. No, he's saying that he is losing. He's not saying that he lost, right? Which he did kind of. Oh, I lost by a hair, right? He kind of admitted that he lost in 2020, even though he doesn't want to admit that. And if you ask him, he's like, no, of course not. I won, you know, most votes of any sitting president. Yeah, but you still lost, right? No, he'll deny it. But he's now actually calling Tim Walz the vice president. Wow.
And
startling admission, Donald. Startling admission.
And I was very happy because Barack Hussein Obama, his brother, as you know, endorsed me. So, no, his brother endorsed me. That's not easy. Now, so we have the endorsement of President Obama's brother. We have the endorsement of the brother of the future vice president. He better not win. If he ever won, this country will be in bad shape. It's already in bad shape.
Wait, if he, wait, who's he talking about?
Brother of the future. Now, so we have the endorsement of President Obama's brother. We have the endorsement of the brother of the future vice president. He better not win. If he,
the brother of the future vice president. Yo! Trump is just telling on himself. Before he said he called him the vice president. Now he's calling him the future vice president. He's really got it in his mind that Kamala's going to win.
Ever won, this country will be in.
Why did he say future vice president? And then he's realizing
bad shape. It's already in bad shape.
He corrected himself 15 minutes later. A little late. Trump should retire to Epstein Island with Loomer and MTG when he loses. Perry, that would be. Do you think he's a fan of catfights? Maybe Boebert. Can we get Boebert in there too? What do you say? What do you say, Perry? Can we get Boebert They should buy Little St. James Island. Trump, along with Loomer and MTG and Ghislaine Maxwell, they can move in there. And it'll be just like old times. It'll be just like old times, folks.
3.5 years of what they've done to this country, especially, look, we're laughed at all over the world. We would have never had the Russia.
Wait, Bleeding Shogun says he said it in a sarcastic way. Yes, that's right. Oh my God, Fleeting Shogun, you're so funny. You're so funny. No, that's hilarious, right? Remember when he said that losing by a hair? Wait, is that what you're talking about though? Fleeting Shogun, are you talking about when he said he lost by a hair? That was sarcastic? Or are you saying that he's saying future vice president Tim Walz is? Which one of those? Do you think they're both? He's just a sarcastic guy, folks.
Ukraine.
He's just got a great sense of humor. He's always using sarcasm.
We would have never had October 7th, Israel, the attack on Israel. None of
Again, caused by his own son-in-law, Jared Kushner, not a diplomat, but nepotistically appointed to act as a diplomat, cuts out one of the major parties in the negotiation, and surprise, surprise, you've got October 7th, right?
these things, and we wouldn't have had inflation. And we wouldn't have had that horrible, the way we pulled out.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit. Look, you can say that depending on the president that you have, that something like inflation could be better or worse, but the whole world, there was global inflation, and it happened after your administration. And it happened for two reasons, like that I can see, two really obvious reasons. One is supply chains, right? Supply chains broke down, meaning that there's less goods, right? That's one thing. Less goods will contribute to inflation. The second thing is that there's more money. So Donald Trump signs a stimulus and signs PPP loans. Now, I happen to think that at least the stimulus was a really good idea. I'm in favor of that. I don't think that Donald Trump would have signed it if he hadn't had to sign it, but he did sign it. But those two things result in inflation. That's what we experienced. Inflation from your acts as president, and probably from your mishandling of the pandemic as well.
In Afghanistan was so horrible. None of those things would have happened. We would have had a much different country. And we wouldn't have 21 million people in our country right now that shouldn't be here. That I can tell you. So because we've done two debates and because they were successful, there will be no third debate.
Let's see. Coward. Gutless. Loser.
It's too late anyway. The voting's already begun. You got to go out and vote. We got to vote. This is going to be the most important vote in the history of our country. It'll be the most important. People said that I was angry at the debate. Angry. I was angry.
Sounds like you're still angry. Sounds like you're still coping.
And yes, I am angry because he allowed
I request cat ears?
21 million illegal aliens invading our communities. Many of them are criminals. Many are criminals. I'm angry. I'm angry.
I can't find them.
They said he's an angry person. No, they're destroying our country. I don't like. She's smiling. All practice, right? Did you see her? She's like, we're talking about a border invasion, the likes of which no country has ever suffered, and she's like this.
Can I make it go like this? Yeah.
But I am angry about Venezuelan gangs
Venezuela
taking over Aurora, Colorado. And illegal Haitians, and he came in, illegal Haitian migrants taking over a beautiful place.
So it's funny, right? He's actually not talking about people that are undocumented, right? I don't like calling people illegals. I think that's kind of fucked up. But he's talking about, he's actually talking about people that are here legally. The only thing is that they are brown, right? So it's not about legal status. It's not about how they came to the country. It's literally just racism. It's literally just racism.
It was so beautiful. Springfield, Ohio. I was there. I campaigned there a while ago. Springfield, it was so beautiful. Now it's just...
Omega Star says, I'm not mad, you're mad.
What a place. Can you imagine you have this small little community?
What a place. You were just there. Your whole argument is that it's going to hell. How is it what a place? You got to make up your mind, right? There were, again, chat, what happened is that Springfield, Ohio is a formerly industrial Midwest town. When the auto industry and a lot of the heavy industry there, when that fell apart, a lot of the supplementary industry around that, like, so for instance, like people in Detroit, make cars. People in South Bend make car doors and windows, right? And like places around Detroit, have industry or had industry that supported that, right? When the car industry kind of went downhill in Detroit, a lot of those towns lost their job base too. People who could get out of those cities, especially young people, got the fuck out. That's part of why Ohio and Indiana are so conservative right now. They didn't used to be that way. They didn't used to be that way. Yeah, the population basically left, right? So then when the prices, when the becomes so low that it becomes enticing to people that are operating factories and stuff and want to open up new places there. When that happens, right, they don't have any workers. They got the place, they got the factory. They can't hire any workers. They can't hire enough workers. So they find Haitians, a lot of whom had been displaced by the political violence going on in Haiti. They're in the United States not as immigrants per se, not as people that are moving in to immigrate to the United States, but as temporary, under temporary protected status. And they end up getting jobs in Springfield and moving in and kind of bringing that economy back, right? That's what happened. And then when there was a bus crash that involved a Haitian, the kind of racist reaction exploded over that. Like, right, it's an accident. And yet, if you listen to Trump, he says they murdered. They murdered a white child. I don't know. It's just fucking racism.
All of a sudden, you have 20,000 illegals in your community. Nobody knows where they come from.
Then why are you talking about Haitians? Then why are you talking about Haitians? If nobody knows where they come from, then why are you talking about Haitians? He's just talking like he doesn't know what he's saying. He's like Biden.
I'm angry about young American girls being...
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Donald Trump is a lot like Biden. Like, he doesn't understand what he's saying. He doesn't understand the words that are coming out of his mouth. He doesn't seem to have control over that. His thought process has really gone downhill in the last 4 years. The difference is, chat, Biden's constituency sees that, acknowledges that, does not like that, considers that a reason not to want to vote for Biden. Trump's core constituency, they don't see the problem. They don't see the problem because they're just as lost as he is.
Raped and sodomized and murdered by savage criminal aliens. I'm angry about rampant inflation destroying our middle class, and the American people are also very angry about that and every other thing that we've had to endure for 3.5 years. That's why 54 days from now, we are going to tell Harris that we've had enough. Our country can't take it anymore.
It's weird. It's weird that Trump would talk about rape and sexual assault, considering that he was found liable for that. Considering that he's got multiple allegations of doing exactly that, right? Why would a rapist bring up rape? I don't understand.
Anymore, we're going to go, Comrade Kamala Harris. You've done a horrible job. You've been the worst vice president in the history of our country. You had no...
Worst vice president is like somebody that doesn't show up to vote in the Senate when there's a tie, right? That's what the vice president does. That's the vice president's job.
Chance of getting this position. You shouldn't have had it. You got no votes, whether you like Biden or not. He got 14 million votes. He had none, not one. We're going to go, Comrade.
I'm sorry, Trump. You're not running against Biden. No matter how many times you try to invoke him, no matter how many times you try to mention him, no matter how many times he puts a Trump hat on, you are running against Kamala, and she is kicking your ass. Unlike Biden, you are winning against Biden. Because Biden just honestly didn't belong running in the first place. And you're showing yourself to be the same as Biden, to be as disconnected from your own words, from your own thoughts as Joe Biden. And that's why, just like they did in 2020, Donald Trump, tens of millions of Americans are going to show up at those polls and they're going to tell you, you're fired. Get out of here, you awful jackass. I never want to see you again in the, like, you know, we need like a media ban on this guy after he loses, right? Not an official one, but like just like stop showing him. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear what he has to say. I don't care. I don't care. He's irrelevant. Do not cover this guy after he loses in November.
You're fired. Get out. Get out.
That's what they're going to tell you.
Get out.
He's criminally insane. He's like Arkham Asylum material.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I can't tell what the chat. I almost said the chat. His chat. I can't tell what his crowd is saying. It's Trump, Trump, Trump. I think they said we want Trump. They can't decide. They can't. They're not making up their minds.
So, thank you. Wasn't The Apprentice a great show, though? Was it?
Isn't there a movie called The Apprentice coming out? I feel like it's going to be a better movie.
Do you think if I didn't do The Apprentice...
You know, the way to end The Apprentice, though, right? The real, like, series finale is going to be you getting fired. It's going to be, like, 80 million Americans showing up at the polls to tell you, your ass is fired.
Because that's a big question. Because a lot...
How come that never got turned on him, right? You know, when Americans get fired by their bosses, it's not a thing that we like. It's not a thing that we relish. It's something that, like, puts your whole life into, you know, chaos, right? Why did that never turn back on him? Yeah, he's the asshole that fires you. He's the petty tyrant.
A lot of people in Hollywood are blaming themselves for this. They're saying if we didn't do The Apprentice, he wouldn't be. But, you know, they all vote.
Well, then they should put that N-word tape out, you know, where you say that you don't want black people to win The Apprentice because blah, 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 N-word.
Vote for me, you know that, because they want to pay low taxes. They talk about, no, we don't like Trump. But when they go to vote, they go, anybody what? It's true. They want low taxes, no crime, great schools, strong military. They don't want a border invasion. They don't want people pouring across.
So wait, are you admitting that the rich are your real constituents? Your real constituency? He said this a few times, right? He lets this slip.
The border illegally from prisons and places. So they go in, they say, no, I'm not for Trump at all. I will never vote for him. Then they go in.
Yeah, Anna Kasparian's definitely doing that.
It's true. And then they go out and they do exit polls.
Here's what doesn't make sense, though. Your audience doesn't like those people. That's not a positive, right? That's you admitting who you're really working for. The wealthy,
False. And you know, in 2016 and 2020, where I got many more, millions more votes, by the way.
Oh, you mean when you lost? When you lost? Yeah, you got millions of more votes because people were allowed to vote by mail, so everybody was getting more votes, but you got millions less votes than the winner of that election, Sleepy Joe Biden. Kicked your ass.
I hate to say that. They say, oh, that's a conspiracy theorist. No, it's called, I got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country.
And still you lost. And still you lost. Loser Donald.
And they said we lost. I was told if I got 63 million.
And I feel like you've admitted you lost a few times, accidentally.
Can't lose. Just get 63. I got close to 12 million.
There's multiple reports of this guy admitting that he lost. He knows it.
And we're never going to let that happen again in this country. We're never going to let that happen. We can't let that happen.
Is that why you're trying to steal the election?
They had exit polls 2016, and they said, oh, he's getting killed in the exit polls. And I remember NBC and that stupid ABC.
That's not true, actually.
Those two people should be fired.
No. That's not true. He's full of shit. Right? The polls that had him losing were the polls that were taken ahead of the vote. Right? And people that were rating the percentage chance. Right? New York Times had it like 90%, 95% Hillary. And I think they were way off. Right? So the people that were covering the election ahead of the election didn't have in mind that somebody could lose by 2 million votes and still win the Electoral College. But you can. You can. It's happened twice in this century so far.
A couple of more years, they'll be fired. And she was nasty. She looked at me with hatred in her eyes.
Are we talking about Hillary?
Nice guy. I mean, they were told to do it by George Slopadopoulos.
Slopadopoulos. Oh, I love it. That's what I love about him.
Right?
Slopadopoulos.
But
it sounds a little bit more like Papadopoulos, though. Wasn't there a guy, Mike Papadopoulos, that worked in your administration? Oh, yeah, and he was convicted, right?
Or the exit polls. So people are walking out and they're saying, would like to know something, sir. Who'd you vote for? And they'd say, crooked Hillary or Trump, right?
See, now this actually isn't true, right? As the night began, when results would come in, and these are exit poll results, right? The results that come out. So the night of the election, when you're seeing the states being called, that's coming a lot of times from the early reports are coming from exit polls. And the exit polls were like, actually, Trump's ahead in Ohio. Trump's ahead here. Trump's ahead there. Oops, Trump won Pennsylvania, right? No, they weren't looking good. Like right from the beginning, right from the get-go. 2016 was not like a cliffhanger kind of night. It was actually a pretty sound, at least electoral drubbing. And actually, at first, it looked like Trump was going to win the popular vote. When they tabulated everything, Hillary had 2 million more votes, but they were in the wrong places. And so Trump won the 2016 election. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, why am I even bothering? We all know he lies.
So many of them, like almost 50%, said none of your business.
The irony of someone named Donald Trump mocking other people's names.
Is who we voted for. They have a tougher word, 2 words. Not like Biden, 1 word, and then he gives 2. 2 words. They begin with the letters F-U. That's what they say to the people. F.
Oh, he's trying to talk about fuck Joe Biden. God, you spent so much time attacking Biden, so much money attacking Biden. He feels ripped off, right? All this stuff, fuck Joe Biden. Then somebody heard it. Some journalist was there, and they're like, yeah, they're saying "Let's go, Brandon." They're saying "Let's go, Brandon" about one of the race car drivers, right? They're apparently all fans of this Brandon fellow, and it turns out there is no Brandon. They're saying "fuck Joe Biden." But again, you're not running against Biden, and you will never stop coping about it, will you? Trump's a criminal, but Hillary Clinton murdered Vince Foster. Good point, random girl.
I would never say him because we have a lot of young
he only rapes people
here. My audience they've gotten younger and younger. Do you notice that? Younger and younger.
I mean, I do notice that you're losing the villages. Chat, should we look at the villages again? I don't know if that's interesting to people. We covered that one time before. The fact that the villages is a retirement community in Florida. And in 2016, it was a hotbed of Trump support, right? These are where all the Trump supporters were. You know, the retirees that moved to Florida and live out the rest of their days having promiscuous sex, spreading STIs, and driving golf carts everywhere. And so, like, how they show up politically, how they tell people how they support the candidate of their choice is they have these golf cart rallies, right? Where they'll all get in their golf carts, right? Because it's this place, it's got golf cart paths around everywhere. You don't have to have a car. You can just have a golf cart and you can ride your golf cart around. And so people would get in their golf carts, they put Trump signs on there, and they go, riding down, around the villages with Trump golf carts, right? This year, a lot of those golf cart rallies are actually showing up for Kamala Harris. It seems to have turned. Now, I don't think, because when I last checked, we're talking about 60% of the residents register Republican. I don't know, was it 20% or 30%? Some really low number register Democrat. So they're not, it's probably not going to go for Kamala, but he's lost a lot of support. He's lost a lot of support from the boomers.
Don't worry, I still like the old people the best. I don't care. Let that cost me all these young.
To put that in your pipe and smoke it, Aiden Ross. Put that in your vape and puff it, XQC.
People. Let that cost me the election. I still like the old people the best.
That's right, the Zoomers' revenge. The Zoomers will turn on you. No, they already have. Right, this generation is the most progressive generation in history, and is massively, overall in favor of left-wing, of the left over the right.
Got to stay with the people that got you there, right? I love what we're doing for the old people. You'll hear.
We're gonna cut your Social Security. No, actually, they probably won't. They'll probably phase out Social Security. So that by the time that the millennials are ready for, or Gen X is ready to get Social Security, it won't be there.
But so that was the two words, but I don't want to use those words. So they said, none of your business, which is not really what they said. And they walked out, and everybody said, Trump is finished.
I got to say, I don't even know what he's talking about at this point.
He's not getting the numbers. Because in the past, nobody said that. They'd say, I'm voting for this one or that one. There were no people that wouldn't say, they'd just say who they voted for. So what they did, thank you, darling, thank you. So what they did.
I think he's still talking about the exit polls from 2016. He's trying to relive his glory days. This was 8 years ago. Bro is stuck in a time warp to 8 years ago when he won an election that he was favored to lose. And now it's looking like kind of everything's coming up the opposite of that year. He's looking like the Hillary Clinton of 2016. He's being really lazy in terms of his campaigning, just like Hillary. He's taking a early lead for granted, just like Hillary. He's coping, just like Hillary.
She keeps saying
he's going to lose Wisconsin, just like Hillary.
I love you. Right in the middle of my punchlines. So they always say one or the other.
Your punchlines? I'm sorry, are you trying to tell jokes here?
And I had one analyst who was very smart, but I was called by Fox, this person at Fox, sir, I'm sorry, sir, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And they say, this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because, they've interviewed all these people. And another one would call me. They all said, oh, they were actually happy. Most of them were happy. Some were really sad, though. A lot of the people were really sad. So it came out, this is going to be a very short evening for Donald Trump. They were so happy. Martha Raddatz was actually crying at the end when I won. She was crying. You don't think she's biased, do you? Martha Raddatz, also of ABC.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Journalists aren't allowed to have opinions. Yeah.
ABC's the worst of the group, by the way.
Unless they're Fox News journalists, then they can have all the opinions they
They're all
want.
bad. But
Okay.
the worst is ABC, and they proved that with
Lauren Chen taught him how to tell jokes. Yeah, either that or Lauren Loomer.
stupid
Laura
worst-
Loomer.
The worst two anchors anybody's ever seen on this thing. They were the worst.
Because you lost. You fucking lost. You were the worst. You defeated yourself.
Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris squaring
Okay,
off on the debate.
now we're gonna get to the. Oh my god. We're gonna get to this. Wait. I need to figure out what this is. Trump rips ABC for rigged debate. It was a 3 versus 1. Is that where we're? Because we need to watch the 5. Anyway, we'll watch this in a second, chat. I realized I've got a lot of donos stacking up, and I do want to read the donos. I do need to read. I got to read the donos. That's my job. All right, so I'm going to read your donos really quick. Remember, if you donate $5 or more, you can interrupt me and get me to answer the question right away, like I did for Joshua Silverstein. And if you donate less than $5, in form of a super chat, I will get to you after the clip. So after the I will get to you after the segment. So we're at the end of this segment, or at least at the end of this video. Let me go ahead and read off some of these. Thomas Jerome super chats $2. Ruben Galejo as Malinche against his own at the border. Thomas Jerome also super chats lie until it sticks. Goebbels approved. Yeah, indeed. Thomas Jerome also super chats Trump needs to get his wig snatched ASAP. And Simon Pierre super chats $1. Can I get cat-ears instead of a dono goal? Instead of a dono goal? Sure. But you can also, anybody who donates, feel free to let me know which of these topics that you want to see covered. Now, so Thomas, I did add like one of your super chats. I think I need to add the other 3 here. And feel free to let me know in the chat if you've donated, which of these topics you want to see. Any of the topics that are in the poll that you're voting on in both chats now. You can also join in if you're over on Twitch. Joint Specialist says, is there a Laura or Lauren who isn't a right-wing bat-shitter? I'm not sure. That's a good question, actually. Perry says they blindsided him with their questions about immigration, abortion, and the economy. How could he have expected those to come up, right? But yeah, we're actually up to 43% on the dono goal. I'm so worried I'm like missing people's Omega Star with the gift sub to Joint Specialist. Joint Specialist, you've just been weaseled, and that's a good thing. You just got weaseled, and that brings us up to 49%. Omega, remind me what you were Omega Star with the resub, bringing us up to 55%. Remind me which of these topics you were pulling for? AJW. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so we're going to add, 12% to that, bringing us up to 15. I feel like, did I miss, like, I don't think I added your second super chat, so that brings us up actually to 16 for AJW. We're at 55% of the dono goal. Remember, chat, if we hit the dono goal today, that opens up extra content. So after I cover Trump and Kamala, after I cover Hassan and Ethan, and Stardust, right? We're gonna talk about Stardust today, because she's trying to get her, like, it's so weird how people say that, like, Frogan, Hassan's mod, inserts herself into this drama, and kind of blame Frogan for essentially what is a harassment campaign by Ethan Klein against her, when you've got Stardust like literally inserting herself into the drama to try to stay relevant. She was relevant for a while, right? Anybody remember Stardust? Anybody remember Stardust? the first time I ever saw Stardust, right? She had this weird Nazi on, right? And I'm not talking about Richard Spencer or Nick Fuentes. She did have other not. She's had a lot of not. She's talked to a lot of Nazis. That's kind of what she did back in the day. Was she talked to Nazis, right? She talked to right wingers. That was like what she was known. She had a big component of groypers in her audience, right? Despite being nominally politically left, that was always kind of doubtful, though. Considering like who her friends were, considering how buddy she was with the largest like Nazi Discord politics server on the fucking internet. And the first time I saw her, it was her covering me actually, and just glazing up this absolute creep, this absolute like Nazi creep. Like, and I don't really like, I never like considered Stardust an enemy because I recognized that she was doing what this person wanted her to do, right? I don't think it was personal. I think it was literally, this is how she gets the attention of this Discord Nazi that comes on our stream and says, yeah, that's right. Yeah, fuck NCC. So, yeah, I've been, look, I have my enemies tell you everything that you need to know about me. The people that are against me, the people that hate my guts the most, right, are always the most reactionary people. It's kind of weird how that ends up working out. It almost feels like more than a coincidence, let's just say. A little bit more than a coincidence. But yeah, that's when I first saw her, and then she kind of got big for a little while, right? She was talking to John Zerka, guy that got caught recently talking to underage girls. In his kick stream, if I'm not mistaken, far right weirdo himself, talking to Nick Fuentes, talking to Richard Spencer, and then she became a orbiter for a streamer named Mr. Girl. Anyone in chat if you remember Mr. Girl? Used to call her Magica like the witch in DuckTales. Oh yeah, I don't know DuckTales well enough to either confirm or deny that, but I'll take your word for it. But yeah, we're gonna get back to the content in just a second. I'm just letting you know what we're doing after the what we're gonna be talking about after the Trump and Kamala stuff. We've got some more of that to cover. We're just about to get back to that, and it's looking good for the dono goal today, chat. It's looking good for unlocking that bonus content. So, looking forward to that. But yeah, Stardust. Formerly relevant person, right? So she was like, she got reasonably big, right? She was doing content with Destiny, content with Zerka, content with noted Nazbul, Infrared Haas. So a lot of fascists that she just happened to talk to. I don't know why, but now she's calling Rogan, one of Hassan's mods, an anti-Semite based on having an issue with Ethan's like weird, like racist rants against Palestinians. So I don't know what's up with that, but we'll take a look. She has not been relevant for a long time. Yeah, she was a Mr. Girl orbiter. One in chat. We got some ones. Do we have some ones? Oh no, I gotta switch this so I can read chat. See how many? Yeah, we got some ones. Yeah, gross. People not fans of Mr. Girl. There's a reason for that, chat. Mr. Girl got big with songs. And one of his biggest song, his biggest banger, was called I'm a PDF. And he didn't say PDF, chat. He said the word. He said PDF aisle, right? That was what the song was. And he's wearing like a t-shirt from a children's show. He's got a children's backpack on, and he's on a school bus rapping about being a PDF. And this is somebody that Stardust became such good friends with that she actually went to bat for this guy when he got banned from Twitch. And you can imagine what he got banned from Twitch for, right? Stardust gets on Twitter and is like, I can't believe that you would ban this guy. He is like, we have the best conversations. He's an amazing person. And he sees me like no one else. He really gets me, right? And later on, those words took on another meaning when this person exposed themselves to Stardust. And after that, Chad, after the, after being like, victimized like that, Stardust finally did disavow Mr. Girl, but not for the right reasons. Not because Mr. Girl was normalizing and quasi advocating for PDF stuff. Like Mr. Girl's basically this NAMBLA spokesperson is essentially what his content was about. Yeah, real edgy, right? And had an orbiter named Stardust, but yeah. But after that happened, after Stardust had no one else to orbit, she just kind of she just became irrelevant. She disappeared from the sky. And now she's back attacking Hassan's mods because that's the way to chase clout right now. So we'll take a look at her clout chasing ass. We'll take a look at her history, and see if we can count how many Nazis she's talked to. I don't know. It's a pretty weird thing for somebody to attack a mod, like a mod for another community, based on anti-Semitism, considering how many anti-Semites Stardust has done content with. But either way, we got to get back to this Trump stuff. Let's see what this is. And then we've got a few more videos, and then we'll get to the Hassan and Ethan stuff, and even a little bit of Stardust. Look, we don't really talk about her. She's not really relevant, but she wants in to this drama, so let's let her speak. Let's let Stardust speak. How about that?
Vice President Kamala Harris squaring off on the debate stage last night, meeting face-to-face for the very first time. It was a heated debate. Less than 2 months until Election Day.
Joining us right now on the phone to react after that very busy night, the 45th President of the United States to the GOP.
He coped so hard, didn't he? We missed so much of his cope. Chat, he shows up in the spin room. We covered that. He talks to Sean Hannity. We covered that. And now he's calling in to Fox.
Pre-presidential nominee, Donald Trump. Mr. President, how do you feel about the night? 105 minutes long. You've done this before. I think your 8th one. What is your review of your performance?
Well, I looked at the poll numbers. I listened to Harold Ford. I don't know what he was watching.
Yeah, he looked at the Twitter poll numbers. He looked at Cat Turd's Twitter poll, and it was very surprisingly, it was very favorable for him.
Because I think he wasn't watching the debate that I was in yesterday. I think we did great. It was 3-1. It was a rigged deal, as I assumed it would be, because
it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged witch hunt.
When you looked at the
everybody's so mean to Donald Trump. Why are they so mean?
The fact that they were correcting everything and not correcting with her, and we knew it when it was 100% good coverage for her over the last month or last year. I looked at it, and only bad coverage of me, no matter what. The press is so dishonest in this country, it's amazing. Now, I didn't mind because, frankly, I was pretty sure that's what they would do. CNN was much more honorable. The debate we had with Biden was a much more honorably run debate, but this was incredible. I mean,
he's mainly mad about being fact-checked, right? Look, I've had this happen before, where people have come on to my stream. They want to talk. They want to use my platform. And they say stuff that is just verifiably untrue, including friends of mine, including somebody who used to be a friend of mine until I found out how racist she was, until I found out she'd been doing streams on Cozy TV, right? I apparently did not know her very well at all. And had to, correct these people, right? And people get mad because, I'm defending my own platform, but yeah, I mean, this is their platform. They're bringing you on for a debate, and you're just going to lie in their face. You're going to say that there was people, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. I'm sorry, Mr. President. They verifiably, objectively, no migrants are eating cats, are eating dogs. The only thing we have is a video from the other side of Ohio of an American citizen, not a Haitian, having an acute mental an acute bout of mental illness and eating maybe part of a cat, more disturbingly killing a cat and possibly biting it, eating it, doing something weird in a driveway, right? But that wasn't in Springfield, and she wasn't an immigrant, and it has nothing to do with what you're saying. So they corrected it. I'm sorry, Mr. President. That's not happening. And he gets so mad. Laura Loomer told me, the guy on TV told me, Newsmax says they're eating the cats. Won't you let me lie?
Everything, so many things I said were debunked, totally debunked, like Charlottesville,
so many the things you said are debunked. Yes, because you lie.
I have a list of 7 different things.
And also, it doesn't matter whether you were talking about the Tiki Torch guys in Charlottesville when you said there's good people on both sides. That march was a march for a Confederate monument glorifying Robert E. Lee. So no, there weren't good people on both sides. There was racists on one side.
Things, and she could say anything she wanted, everything, every time I spoke, and my stuff was right.
I think there was like one thing that she said that they maybe could have like fact checked, but obviously they fact checked the stuff they've got information for.
Correct you. I thought it was.
But that one was an easy one. That was a prominent issue that was being talked about. They're journalists and they know the truth about that. And you either did not know the truth, you either got fooled by whatever you saw. I saw it on the TV. It was right there on my TV screen, right? Or you don't care and you were lying. But either way, they're not going to let you spread lies.
Terrible from the standpoint of ABC. They're the most dishonest, in my opinion, the most dishonest news organization. And that's saying.
Until another news organization does something that he doesn't like. And then they're the most dishonest news organization, right?
A lot, because they're all essentially really dishonest. But I thought I did a great job. It was 3-on-1, and I thought I did a great job. Now, we sent you the polls, but every single poll last night had me winning like 90-10. We had C-SPAN at one point was at 80-20, and I don't know how it finished. That was late last night, so I have no idea. But it was at 80-20. I told that to Brett Baer, and we sent him a lot of polls, and we sent you a lot of polls this morning. And every single poll had us winning by a lot, despite the fact that it was an unfair debate, obviously, and it was a 3-on-1, and that's okay. I've had worse.
You're repeating yourself, sir.
I've had it before, but never so.
You're repeating yourself, sir.
A lot of people are very angry about it. You have corrupt news organizations.
Cat Turd is very angry.
You have a lot of bad people. It's amazing in that business. In your business.
Yeah, Mr. President, we kind of expected it because when you look at Media Research Center, they said 100%.
This poll is very close. Wait, Nathan Drake, what poll?
Of the stories covered on ABC about Kamala, 100% of the time was positive. 93% of the time when they covered you, it was negative. So it was infuriating.
Wait, what's she talking about?
Covered on ABC about Kamala. Yeah, Mr. President, we kind of expected it because when you look at Media Research Center, they said 100% of the stories covered on ABC about Kamala.
Wait, Media Research? Isn't this some... yeah, no, we're not actually, Nathan. We're about to get into that. That's our next topic. Thanks for asking. Yeah, Nathan Drake asks, are we done with the Ethan Hassan drama? We haven't even started. We've got this Trump tent to get out of the way. The guy's coping. I covered this on Thursday, and I told you I would finish it on Friday. I didn't end up streaming on Friday, so I kind of owe you this.
100% of the time was positive. 93% of the time when they covered you, it was negative. So it was infuriating.
Can somebody look that up? Media Research Group.
To watch them.
Sounds like a right-wing thing. I feel like I've heard of this before.
Fact check you and not her when she brought up IVF, when she brought up Project 2025 several times.
Again, okay. I'm sorry. You're not bringing up things like, right, there's things that are factually incorrect, and then there's things that are subjective, right? If you want to be super neutral, you can say that the Project 2025 thing is subjective. You can say that Trump says, well, I'm not officially, like, I didn't endorse that. I didn't say it, like, right? So, okay, right? You yourself have not been, we're going to do Project 2025, right? That's what he's trying to hang his hat on. But the fact is that the people that wrote that are former Trump officials. This is the Heritage Foundation. And it lines up with stuff that he said. It lines up with Agenda 47, which he has endorsed. And it also lines up with his, promise to be dictator on day one. How is he going to do that? Obviously, by eliminating civil servants and replacing them with Trump sycophants. So it's one of the, that you could say is like a he said, she said. They didn't correct you on that, right? Because I guess you do have plausible deniability.
Charlottesville. Here are some of the lies that she said about you.
He picks judges from their list.
Listen.
He's going to the Copacabana.
Detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied.
Look, we got leaks about Project 2025, right? There was a hacker that actually that broke into Heritage Foundation stuff, and they found out who had written it. And yeah, it's Trump officials. Like, they identified, like, you know, a majority of the people involved in writing Project 2025 were former Trump officials or Trump transition team members.
IVF treatments.
Media Research Center is primarily funded by Robert Mercer. Robert Mercer, oh my God, thank you, Ceres.
Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured.
Wait, let me just go back again. Let me see exactly what she says, right? Because, like, look, I'll tell you if this is in line with what Now, Trump calls it Snoops. He can't remember what it's called. It's actually called Snopes. He's pretty sure it's very left-wing, and that they endorsed him, I think is what he said. In reality, what they did is they looked at the charges that he endorsed the Tiki Torch, that when he said there's good people on both sides, he was talking about the Tiki Torch people, right? So that'd be pretty damning if he was saying the Jews will not replace us people were good people. And Snopes looked at it and said that they couldn't, like, you know, he's vague, right? So he's not necessarily, he says there's good people on both sides. Okay, well, not everybody that was at the Unite the Right rally was at that march. So is it possible that he was talking about other people? Yeah, sure. But remember what that march was for. It was for keeping up a statue of Robert E. Lee, a Confederate general. This was a neo-Confederate cause. And Unite the Right, let's be real. What is that about? What does that mean? What is the protest itself? Because he did say there's good people on both sides, right? The counter-protest, there's the against the Unite the Right people and the Unite the Right people, right? Unite the Right was trying to unite those Tiki Torch people, those far-right extremists, those racists, those actual Nazis, with the right wing that is just kind of like, hey, I think we should have a statue of Robert E. Lee. I think that's history and that's heritage. And if they want to fly the Confederate flag, go ahead and fly the Confederate flag. That's all heritage. That's all history. That's okay, right? Let's just see exactly what she says here. I'm gonna be real fucking, like, generous. I'm gonna really give them the benefit of the doubt on this. All right,
and
just to show you how full of shit they are.
Dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day.
Yeah, he did. He did say that there was fine people on both sides of Charlottesville. The Snopes dispute is whether he was talking about the Tiki Torch marchers or whether he was talking about random other people. So are we talking about the neo-Confederate right, or are we talking about the straight-up Nazi right, right? What Snopes said is you can't prove that it was the straight-up Nazis that he was talking about, so therefore...
140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath.
Yeah, some died, some killed themselves after the event, right?
If this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
And the bloodbath, you were talking about the economy. It's a term that's used.
Obviously, you were talking about, let's give you the benefit of the doubt and say that wasn't a dog whistle. Again, subjective, right? I don't think you're wrong for reading into that he wasn't actually talking. The fact that he used that word, the way that he used that word does sound like a dog whistle. Can you prove it's a dog whistle? No. Can you prove what's in his heart? Can you prove what he means? No, you can't. He's super vague. That's what he does. That's how dog whistles work.
A lot when people are talking about a bad.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the people's pets who live there.
Economy. What's your reaction to?
They're eating the pets of the people who live there.
The moderator's corrector.
Natalie Marie says Trump spoke at an Heritage Founder events and praised them. Says he loves that they support him and that he's already implemented some of their agenda. Yeah, it's not that far of a reach to say that Trump is in line with a Heritage Foundation plan. In fact, as Anna Kasparian pointed out, Heritage Foundation shit is pretty fucking mainstreamed.
Because they're dishonest, and because I think ABC took a big
And then they're gonna eat me, yeah.
hit last night. I mean, to be honest,
You took a big hit last night, Donald.
they're a news
Big hit of copium.
organization. They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license
So he's literally talking about suppressing the free press, right? Because he doesn't like what they have to say.
for the way they did that.
I don't want to hear any of you right-wing assholes give me shit about free speech anymore. This guy's literally talking about like banning a network because he does not like what they had to say.
Bloodbath was referring to the economy. Everybody loved the term because as soon as they heard the word, it's sort of a vicious word. But referring to the economy, they have created an economy. Bloodbath was the word that I used, and it was fine in that context. And they were trying to make it sound like there was a riot or something, and it was a...
Look, let's be honest. Okay, here's the deal. Trump did that on purpose, all right? He signals to his followers that are dreaming of a civil war that he's with them in that thing, right? He's with them in that. And at the same time, he uses a phrase which has been used for like economic devastation, right? You know, if a company closes down and everybody loses their jobs, sometimes it gets called a bloodbath. He did this on purpose. And honestly, this is where people have to stop taking the bait. Like, this was bait. He did this on purpose. He anticipated it being read correctly as a dog whistle, and he made the plan of what he was going to do. Oh, I didn't say bloodbath as in an actual bloodbath, as in fucking bloody civil war. I just meant, like, it's going to be horrible consequences for the workers there. Like, let's identify it as what it is, and please stop taking his bait on this. When it's subjective, you don't need to grab onto that. There's plenty that he says where his mask slips, and that's where your attack should be, right? In terms of Trump, he's gotten away with a lot of shit by saying things that are very vague, and then having people react to them, and then he can turn around to his crowd and be like, "But I literally didn't say that." So like, just go for the low-hanging fruit on Trump. Stop going for everything. Go for the slam dunks.
Bloodbath. IVF. I was a leader on IVF. The IVF, which is fertilization. I was a total leader on that. When I first heard about it, like right from the beginning, I was one of the leaders on it, and the Republican Party has been a leader on it. She tried to say it was just the opposite.
Okay, chat, we got to get those likes up if we can. If you haven't liked the stream yet, it's a great time to hover your little thumb over the like button and hit it, or hover your mouse, or whatever you got to hover, or even like hold down the screen if you're on shorts, right? There's, the thumb gang. I appreciate the thumb gang so much, right? Of all my supporters, I feel like the thumb gang is the most powerful and yet the most underrated is what I'm trying to say. In that it really does let YouTube know that you're enjoying the stream, and it also lets YouTube know that you're the kind of person who enjoys the stream. So if you want more people like you coming into chat, if you want to clone yourself, you can hit that like button, and YouTube will literally find people that are into what you're into, and they'll suggest the stream to them. So massive appreciation to Thumb Gang out there. And if you haven't joined Thumb Gang yet, it's time. It's definitely time.
The whole thing with abortion, what he said, I mean, it was incredible. I think he corrected me 6 times, and each time
Mr.
I was
President.
right. I believe each time I was right, didn't correct her at all, and she was saying these things. She was using like
Wait, did he say involuntary fertilization?
Charlottesville. She was using Charlottesville, and everybody, you take a look at Laura Ingraham, she did it incredibly. She had it totally debunked. She said that, in fact, it makes it angry. She gets angry when people hear about Charlottesville, when they use that, because what they did is they stopped and they didn't put the following sentence in. And when they put the last sentence in, when it was all put together, what I said was absolutely perfect. And ABC knew that. Everybody knew that, frankly. I think they lost a lot of credibility. But regardless, look, the polls are saying that I won that by 80, 20, 90. We have one here.
You were huffing copium more than Kanye West is huffing nitrous. Do you have like a dentist that hooks you up with this copium? Is he gonna put grills in your mouth next week? Like, what is going on?
92-7, and I sort of believe that's right. I thought, look, I've been told I'm a good debater. I think it was one of my better debates, maybe my best debate. I think.
Oh, wow, we're up to 75 on the mainstream. That's really good.
This guy Harold Ford, I don't know if he's still there.
30 in the.
What he was watching, because he was just as dishonest as ABC, in my opinion.
Mr. President, I interrupted a moment ago. They just on the face of the Pentagon. Every year for the last 23 years, we have gone down to the Pentagon at 6:46. That's sunrise down in the Washington, D.C. area. When they unfurl that flag to commemorate American Airlines Flight 77 that crashed into the Pentagon.
9/11. This guy had Laura Loomer, a person who believes that 9/11 was an inside job, a 9/11 truther, on his plane, and he's going to pretend that he cares about 9/11. Let me find you another thing.
It killed all 64 on board, 125 people at the Pentagon, 184 people lost their lives, 23.
Oh my God, and we're so sad. It's so sad. I can't believe those people lost their. Oh my God, 9/11. Holy shit.
I know you are going to take.
I know you're really sad about this too, aren't you, Donald Trump? You've said some stuff to that effect. Right, you having Laura Loomer on your fucking plane really shows how much you care about the fucking victims of that attack.
Part in some of the commemorations as well here in New York City and in Pennsylvania.
That's right. I'll be doing that in a little while. In fact, right after this call, I leave. I'm going down to the World Trade Center site, and I'll be down there for much of it. JD's going with me. And we had a great talk about it yesterday. It was very, very.
I think that Laura Loomer went with him too.
Horrible day. There's never been anything like it. Just a horrible day. And then going to Pennsylvania, of course. And so I'm going to be doing both of them. Sometimes I'll do all three. Sometimes it doesn't work out when they're sort of simultaneously done, but we're going to be doing two of them today.
So last night, all three planes are there. You got Air Force 2, you got Trump Force 1, J.D. Vance's plane. We're all together. You guys are going to be at the site together. President Biden, I think, will be there. Are you going to say anything to them?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's, look, everybody should be very angry at how badly they've run this country. Millions of people are floating into our country. Many of them should not be here. They're criminals, many criminals coming in, many terrorists coming in, people coming. They're emptying their jails into our country. They're emptying, think of it, they're emptying their mental institutions. People that are mentally ill are being dropped into our country. And these two people, and it's both of them.
All right, let's take a look at what Donald Trump has said about 9/11.
I want to talk just for a second. I wrote this out, and it's very close.
Now look at this chat. This is I don't know how many years ago this was, but he looks so much better.
My heart, because I was down there, and I watch our police and our firemen down on 7-Eleven, down at the World Trade Center. Now I'm going to sign. I saw the greatest people I've ever seen in action.
7-Eleven. Down on 7-Eleven. Okay, now you could say that was a mistake. He misspoke. You're being so uncharitable. That doesn't him getting 9/11 mixed up with 7/11. That doesn't really prove anything. What are you saying?
This bill into law, and I don't know if the stage will hold it, but if it doesn't, we're not falling very far.
40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
It's a terrible
chat. He said that. Do you hear what he said? He's talking about his building. This is on 9/11. This was the day that happened, right? What does he want to talk about? He wants to talk about the fact that now his building, which used to be the tallest before they built the Twin Towers, it's now the tallest. I've got the tallest building now. This is the mind of a very sick man.
Actually, before the World Trade Center was the tallest, and it was actually before Manhattan, and it was the second tallest building in.
We're not falling very far.
40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
It's a terrible.
That's what goes through his mind. I've got the tallest building in New York now.
Design. And not only the Freedom Tower, the buildings around it, they have roofs at all different angles. It looks like
Okay, I mean, I don't care about
a
this.
junkyard, and it shouldn't be built. If we build this job the way it is, the
He's talking about the memorial being built.
terrorists win. If we rebuild the World Trade Center, but a story taller and stronger, then we win.
I watched when the world.
He wants to literally rebuild the building that you know, this is you know, say what you will, right? That was the grave site essentially for the people that died in that attack, and he wants to just rebuild the building there, just have it be.
World Trade Center came tumbling down. And I watched in Jersey City, New Jersey, where thousands and thousands of people were cheering as that
This has been disproven. He's lying.
building was coming down.
The World Trade Center came down during your brother's reign. Remember that.
Hold on. Let me finish. Wait, I mean, actually, that's a good point. Bush actually should have paid a price for this. Instead of being lauded, instead of being reelected, instead of having the rally around the flag, you know, effect, like Bush actually should have, like, this should have been a negative. Oh my God, why is the music? God damn. Why has everybody got to put, like, copyright music over everything?
Just had the gall to go after my mother.
That's not
Look,
keeping
I
us
won
safe.
the lottery.
Everyone who helped clear
No, actually, he's kind of right about that one.
the rubble. And I was there, and I watched,
He wasn't there.
and I helped a little bit.
He didn't. Oh, what a liar! I helped a little bit. I got my dustpan and my broom out, and I helped clean the rubble. No, he didn't.
I was down there also, but I'm
Oh, this is a lie.
considering myself a
What a fucking liar. I don't consider myself a. You don't have to call me a first responder. Some people call me a hero. I don't demand that you call me a hero, but some people do consider what I did to be heroic. I was down there with my dustpan. I was down there with. No, he wasn't even. He's just lying.
first responder, but
What a weirdo. What a weird fucking narcissist freak show. What is wrong with this guy? Okay, that. It looks like that one. Wait, is this like more of the? We're gonna have music then.
Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually before the World Trade Center.
Okay, no, sorry. I thought maybe we had a little bit more on that. Let's get back to what we were covering. But there we go. There we go. That's what he's actually said about the World Trade Center. The day of, he says, like, well, I've got the tallest building again now. Some people say that it's much like the tallest man with the tallest building is the man with the largest penis. Folks, like, he's just like bragging. He's like dick size measuring against the fucking fallen World Trade Center on the day of. Then a few days after, or I don't know how long after, right? But then he claims to have been there. You don't have to call me a first responder, but some people would call me. I was down there helping. I was down there doing my part. No, he wasn't, right? And then, you know, the rest of it is like.
They allow it to happen. What they're doing is terrible. I saw your report yesterday in Ohio, with Springfield, Ohio, and Aurora. If you look at Colorado, Colorado, these thugs from Venezuela and Aurora have taken over. People from Haiti, I guess, have come in illegally, totally come in.
They're not. They're not. The Haitians living in Springfield they're legally under temporary protected status because of the political instability in their country.
Illegally into our country, and
Do you think you made that point last night?
Ohio.
Do you think you made that? Do you think you made that point last night that you believe the border?
No, he made the point that they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Directly affecting all these cities and all these towns.
Oh, I think I made it twice, or maybe even 3 times. In fact,
you destroyed your fucking campaign, right? This is what's going to go in the history books: is that Donald Trump lost the 2024 election when he went on a plane ride with Laura Loomer, listened to her talking about her fucking lies about Haitian migrants, and repeated them on the debate. And when he was debunked, when he was disproven, he said, but I saw it on TV. It was on TV. It must be.
I said, I wonder if I'm saying this is too much. How can you say it too much? They've allowed 21 million, I think is the real number. It could be more than that.
Based on what? I love his like his weird unskewing of like, well, if they say that it was 20 million, or if they say it was 15 million, it was probably actually 21 million, based on his vibes. The man's got vibes.
21. That's bigger than New York State. They've allowed 21.
Excuse me? Oh no, I'm sorry. He's talking about the total immigration.
Million people come in.
I thought it was like 20,000 like Haitians moved into Springfield, but I thought he was
to come into our country. Many of these people are criminals. Right. And by the way, those countries are being emptied out of their criminals, and their crime rates are
again, show the proof, show the facts, show your source. You won't do that because you're lying. You're talking out of your ass. You're ass puppeteering.
Way down. Their prison populations are being dumped into the United States.
I am not convinced, chat, that he does not have the phone up to his ass in this conversation. With how much he's talking out of his ass.
Their populations in prison are way down. Their mental institutions, their populations are way down. And it's all over the world. It's not just South America. They're coming in from the Congo and Africa. They're coming from all over the world, the Middle East, Europe, Asia. They're coming in from everywhere, not just South America, and they're coming in at numbers you've never seen. They're literally destroying our country. These people have no idea, or maybe they do. The only reason they can be doing it is because they hate our country. Mm-hmm. They hate our country.
Wait, I'm sorry. See, this is what I mean about how vague he is. You could interpret what he just said as the only reason that the immigrants are coming in is because they hate our country. Yeah, they hate our country so much they moved here. I don't think that's what he means. I think he means Biden and Kamala, right? Are like, oh yeah, we hate America so much. Let's let some more immigrants in. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare the border numbers, the terror watch list suspects under you, there were 11. Under Kamala Harris, 375. Now, foreign policy did come up at last night's debate. Listen to this soundbite, or our audience can listen to this, and we'll get your reaction on the other side.
If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened.
Look, there's actually a very good chance that Israel may not exist. Israel's falling apart. Israel's really having problems, right? And there's like when they tried to, so they had an issue where some IDF members had sexually assaulted Palestinian prisoners. And I'm not talking about like prisoners that were in there for doing something. I'm talking about just like in a lot of cases innocent people that they just dragnetted off the streets that happen to be Palestinians, right? And we're talking about some pretty severe stuff in terms of like hot metal rods being, shoved in places that they shouldn't have been, right? So Israel tries to do the bare minimum so that the world court will not get involved of just prosecuting or investigating, like, running some kind of investigation of their own people. Israel had a January 6th, not to try to keep a losing president in the, in office, but actually to prevent sexual criminals in their military from being investigated, and including members of the Knesset who showed up in order to try to stop these. And indeed, the government of Israel gave in to these terroristic threats, and so Israel's having its own issues, right? You've got a huge issue between Netanyahu and the courts. You've got some real questions of legitimacy of that government, and it's all kind of hinged on, and part of the reason probably that the military action is still going on in Gaza, and they continue to provoke along the line with Lebanon and with Iran, is that Netanyahu, when he Netanyahu is very likely to not be reelected. Now there's an issue with the public in Israel knowing that there were hostages that could have been returned safely to Israel, to Israel, that are dead now because of Netanyahu's refusal to negotiate. And so you've got a lot of issues, a lot of instability, and honestly, a lot of factions in Israel, pulling it in different directions. Yeah, there is some chance that Israel, is going to have also the international reputation that Israel has now is akin to the reputation of South Africa prior to the end of apartheid. Right? The only way that South Africa lost its pariah status was by ending apartheid. And so you've got a situation now where Israel is, in a lot of ways, the new South Africa. Yeah, I mean, there's every chance that Israel, as a government, is going to have problems staying together. So that's possible, but it's got nothing to do with Kamala Harris. In fact, it's got more to do with Donald Trump. It's got more to do with the failed negotiation that went on, facilitated by his son-in-law, who had no business acting as a diplomat, and that cut out the Palestinians in the negotiation, right? That is very likely one of the factors that led to October 7th. And this actions that Israel took after October 7th that have led to a real legitimacy crisis for the country in terms of its international regard. Anyway.
And fast and get the would you
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal.
It was a very good agreement.
Wait, what are we talking about with Ukraine, or are we talking about? I think that's on Ukraine.
get that settled and fast and get the
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself
Oh, I think she's talking about Afghanistan. Yeah,
a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said
yeah. That was his answer, was to capitulate to the Taliban in a lot of ways.
it was a
I think he let out like 5,000 members of the Taliban that were that were locked up.
weak, terrible deal.
It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left.
Then why didn't you pull out? You were president for 4 fucking years. You keep on hitting her over, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that as vice president? A vice president's job is to break the tie in the Senate. A vice president does not control policy. That's the president, right? But you were actually president. And you were such a fucking coward that you refused to end the Afghan occupation that had been going on for 20 years.
Many Americans behind. They blew it.
You said when you were at the town hall with Sean Hannity, you said a lot of people, you might not like me, but you're safer under me. You have more money in your bank accounts under me. So why do you think our country would?
We were safer before him. That's the truth of the matter, right? You had more money in your bank account before him. That's the truth, right? Everything that this man touches turns to shit, including the country. He managed to just kind of go along to get along for 3 years prior to what happened in 2020, prior to a crisis. And then when the crisis hit, he was not up for the job. And things went to shit. And yes, we were better off before that happened. And yes, I do think he bears some responsibility in that. Am I going to put that all on him? No, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime public health crisis. But how he handled that health crisis put us in a weaker position than we would have been if there was a real politician, Republican or Democrat, if there was a real actual president instead of a reality star LARPer.
Be safer under you,
Clown.
Mr. President.
Because I deal with foreign policy. I'll give you an example. Afghanistan.
He doesn't understand foreign policy. He's not interested in foreign policy. They had to put his name in briefings to get him to read them because he was uninterested in reading foreign policy briefings. This guy is a fucking joke.
We had a great agreement, but it was agreement subject to them doing a lot of different things. They didn't do those things, and when they didn't do them, we terminate the agreement. These clowns had no idea what to do. They had Milley, who's incompetent. They had Biden, who's incompetent. All of the people are incompetent. Nobody ever gets fired. They don't fire anybody.
You would have fired Milley because he blew the fucking whistle about what you were like behind the scenes.
They let him just stay on.
And he didn't shoot fucking protesters in the legs for you.
Retire, no problem. Milley should have been.
You didn't turn the U.S. military on United States citizens to suppress freedom of speech.
Milley should have been fired and reprimanded like you've never seen. These people are incompetent. They left billions of dollars worth of equipment behind, yet 13 dead soldiers. They shouldn't have used.
Didn't he have like 57 or 60 something dead soldiers during his
that airport? They should have used Bagram, which, by the way, they gave up, and they shouldn't have given it up because that's only 1 hour away from China where they make their nuclear weapons. No, they took a good agreement, but the agreement was subject to the Taliban doing things. And remember this, just in ending that, I went 18 months without one soldier killed. I spoke to the head of the Taliban, Abdul, and I said, I had a nice, tough talk with him. Not one soldier.
Abdul, I showed him his house. He said, "Why are you sending me this?" I said, "You can figure it out."
Was killed in 18 months until that catastrophe happened. It was absolutely, we were running it perfectly. But the agreement didn't mean anything because they had to, in other words, to have the agreement kick in.
It was conditions-based.
They didn't do the things. Who would take the military out first? They're incompetent. They took the military out first. You're supposed to take the military out last. And they left lots of Americans behind. And then they had the worst airlift nobody's ever seen. People falling off an airplane from 3,000 feet in the air. Many people. They are incompetent, and they shouldn't be running the country, and we'll end up in World War III because of these fools.
Likely we could end up in World War III because of Trump's actions. Likely his actions, again, his son-in-law was tapped as a diplomat. Somebody with no foreign policy experience, somebody with no business negotiating, right? You know, in an almost like racist way, right? The only connection Jared Kushner has got to Israel is that he's Jewish. That's weird. That's weirdly racist. That's weirdly oh, I know who I'll send. I'll send my son-in-law. He's Jewish. Yeah, he'll go and do the negotiate. He's got no business fucking doing that. This is how incompetent Trump is. This is how impulsive Trump is. But we've got a little bit more to cover before we get to the Ethan Klein going sicko mode on Hassan Piker's mods, apparently. Here, let's try something different, though.
Jasmine, I know that.
Look, I know I shove a lot of Trump tint down your throats. That sounds weird. I shouldn't say it that way. I really shouldn't. I should find a better way to say that. We never watch anything that's not super toxic. But we've got a speech from Kamala Harris that is her response to Trump's refusal to debate him. Let's take a look at this. See what this is all about.
The future of our country is so bright, so bright, so bright. And it is so good to be back in Greensboro and to be with so many leaders. Thank you all, everybody. Thank you. I want to thank the incredible Governor Roy Cooper. Thank you. Your next governor, Attorney General Josh Stein. Representative Manning. Mayor Vaughn. The Council of State candidates. And all the leaders with us today. So North Carolina, 2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our debates. You watched it?
Yeah, she really looks like she lost that debate.
And look, I believe we owe it to have another.
I'm gonna pee, Chad. I'll be right back.
We owe it to the voters.
I got to pee. Oh my God.
Because here's the thing. In this election, what's at stake could not be more important. On Tuesday night, I talked about issues that I know matter to the families across America, like bringing down the cost of living, investing in America's small businesses, protecting reproductive freedom, and keeping our nation safe and secure. But that's not what we heard from Donald Trump. Instead, you know, and I called it at the beginning of the debate, it was the same old show. Same old tired playbook we've heard for years, with no plan for how he would address the needs of the American people. Well, folks, look, it's time to turn the page. For a new way forward, and we are ready for a new generation of leadership that is optimistic about what we can do for our country together. And that is why Democrats, Republicans, and Independents are all supporting our campaign. Because we agree, we have a duty as citizens to put country above partisanship and defend our Constitution. And that is my pledge to you. I will always put country above party. From the courthouse to the White House, I have always fought for the people. From being a young courtroom prosecutor, yes, USA, go on. From being a young courtroom prosecutor in Oakland, California, I've stood up for women and children against predators who abuse them. Attorney General of California, I took on the big banks and delivered $20 billion for middle-class families who face foreclosure. I stood up for veterans being scammed by big for-profit colleges, for workers who were being cheated out of their wages, the wages they were due, for seniors facing elder abuse. I will be a president for all Americans. And together we will build a brighter future for our nation. Together. And we're all right, Newt. We are going to build a future where we build what I call an opportunity economy. So every American has an opportunity to own a home, to build wealth, to start a business.
All right, here we go.
And let me tell you, I love our small businesses. Are there small business leaders here? Raise your hand.
Yeah, I came back just in time for the cheese. Look, I'm not eating cheese, right? But this is small businesses.
That's right. So, you know, growing up, my mother, she worked long hours. She often worked very long hours, my mother. And so my sister Maya and I would go over to Miss Shelton's house. Now, Miss Shelton, we called her our second mother. She was the second mother to us. She actually was from Louisiana, and she would take care of us in the evenings and on the weekends when my mother was working. And she was a small business owner. And let me tell you what I learned from being a young child about a small business owner, Miss Shelton. Our small business owners, you are business leaders and you are civic leaders. You are community leaders. You hire locally. You mentor. You are part of the fabric of our communities. And you, like Miss Shelton, are the backbone of America's economy. The backbone.
I'm sorry, I believe that's the workers. I believe that you mean the workers. I believe you mean the people that actually do the work, that create the value, that turn raw materials and machinery into usable commodities, right? I believe that's what that is the backbone. She's fucking missing the plot so hard on this.
So I have a plan for you, and my plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction for startup businesses. Because I understand not everybody, like the person that was on the stage with me the other night, gets handed $400 million on a silver platter and then files for bankruptcy 6 times. Come on. Come on. I know.
Yeah, that's more like what we want to hear.
Because look, my mother, she worked hard, she saved up, and it wasn't until I was a teenager she was able to buy our first home. I know the challenges that Americans and working people and families are having right now in terms of affordable housing. And we need to build more housing in America. So part of my plan, part of my vision for an opportunity economy is we are going to cut red tape and work with the private sector to build 3 million new homes by the end of my first term.
So less regulation, that's your solution, right? Not more regulation, which is what we should be doing to make it so that, like, people can't be, like, I mean, there's literally apps right now. And, like, luckily this is something that the Department of Justice is pursuing, but there are apps right now that allow what seems like collusion between landlords to fix prices, to drive the prices for apartments as high as they possibly can. And look, it's great that you care about first-time homeowners, but Kamala, I want to hear you care about renters.
Plan to lower the cost of living for America's families on everything from health care to groceries, including taking on price gouging and those corporations when they take advantage of people in need. Under my plan, more than 100 million Americans will get a tax cut. Thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money will go back in your pockets, including $6,000 during the first year of a child's life for young parents.
Childless cat lady loves that.
Knowing in that critical stage of your child's development, you might need a little help, not just to get by, but to get ahead.
Do you see her back there, the woman in the white shirt with cat whiskers on it? It says childless cat lady.
And I will always put the middle class and working families first. I know where I came from. I know where I came from. I'm clear about that. Now, Donald Trump, well, he has a different plan. Just Google Project.
I mean, look, she's definitely, 1,000 miles better than Trump. All right. But it's just like Democrats, what they don't get is that you're going to win by heightening the contradictions between you and the Republican candidate, not by sounding like a Republican.
2025.
Not by cutting regulations, not by cutting taxes, but by doing the opposite.
I see you have. It is a detailed and dangerous blueprint for what he will do if he is elected president. Donald Trump will give billionaires massive cuts, massive tax cuts, and cut corporate taxes by over $1 trillion, even as they pull down record profits. He intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. And he wants to impose what I call a Trump sales tax on everyday basic necessities, which will cost the average American family nearly $4,000
This is true.
a year. Some of the top economists in our country and in the world have reviewed these plans. Goldman Sachs, for example, has said.
Wonderful. Look, that's what is up with this? Like, right, as bad as Donald Trump is for being like, Viktor Orban says that they need Trump back. Everybody was afraid of Trump. There was no wars under Trump, right? That's like he's like literally citing a fascist. But here's Kamala Harris with like Goldman Sachs approves of my plan.
That my plan would grow our economy and his plan would shrink the economy.
Look, let's take us back for a second, right, to 2008. An insurgent young candidate named Barack Obama surprises what everybody assumed to be the candidate that was inevitable, that being Hillary Clinton, and defeats her in the primary. Many people think that this represents a sea change for the Democratic Party. He continues to campaign on hope and change, convincing many people that, you know, he represents a fundamental break from the policies, Democratic and Republican, of the last 20 years. Only to capitulate to the banks during the financial crisis. That was a huge mistake. That was a huge fumble. You took what could have been a sea change in American politics, a tidal shift back from the Reagan era into an entrenchment of that Reagan era in both parties. And here we got Kamala Harris talking about fucking Goldman Sachs. It's really sad. It's really sad. Look, I care about, as much as I don't trust the Democratic Party, as much as I think that we need something stronger, a stronger prescription than the social democracy offered by even the likes of Franklin Roosevelt, right? A very, a very far left Democrat. More than anything, I want policy change. And if that can happen through the Democratic Party, through them changing their mind, through them actually heightening the contradictions, and at least making the material conditions better for the working people, I'm all for that. But time and time again, they just keep disappointing us.
That his plan would reignite inflation and send us into a recession by the middle of
That's true.
next year. On top of this,
I mean, that's not, I'm sorry, that's likely true.
On top of this, Donald Trump intends to end the Affordable Care Act. Now think about that. We remember what it meant when insurance companies could deny you for a pre-existing condition. Remember what that was?
Hey, I remember when if you were too poor, you just went without medical care. I remember that.
So he wants to get rid of it. And as he said in the debate, he made clear he has no plan to replace it. In fact, you remember? Concept. You remember? He has, quote, concepts of a plan. Concepts of a plan.
And this is the problem with Trump. This is the problem with running against Trump, is that there is such a target-rich environment. Concepts of a plan is great. I haven't heard that repeated nearly enough, right? That was a real mask-off moment for Donald Trump. But it's so hard. I actually don't envy Kamala and her campaign staff for having to decide which of Trump's fuck-ups are you actually going to talk about. But yeah, this is a good one to talk about. I'm glad I'm hearing this.
abortion. Concepts of a plan. Which means no actual plan.
And let me point out, right, that this isn't Trump's first time. This isn't Trump's first bite at the apple as far as repealing the Affordable Care Act, right? He tried to do it before. He came so close that all that kept us from a repeal of the Affordable Care Act was McCain voting no. That's how close. One vote in the Senate. We were one vote in the Senate from that thing being repealed. So he was ready to repeal it. And he said, we're going to repeal and we're going to replace it. You're going to have the best health care ever. You're not going to have Obamacare. You're going to have a Trump care. It's going to be great. Motherfucker. 6 years, 7 years, however many years later, has concepts of a plan. He didn't have a plan, in other words. He was fucking lying. He said that he was ready to repeal and to replace it. 6 years from attempting to take it down the first time, all he's got is concepts.
Which means no actual plan. And 45 million Americans are insured through the Affordable Care Act. So understand what that means. He's going to end it based on a concept and take us back when folks were suffering. Well,
let's be real. It's Donald Trump, though. He's lying. He doesn't even have concepts. She's giving him too much credit. There is no concept. He's bullshitting.
We're not going back. We are not going back. We are not. We're not going back. No, we're not going back. No, we together will move forward because ours is a fight for the future. And ours is a fight for freedom. Like the fundamental freedom of a woman to be able to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. And we remember how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, with the intention they would undo the protections. And they did exactly as he intended. And now more than 20 states have a Trump abortion ban, including North Carolina, and every single state in the South except Virginia. Many with no exceptions, even for rape and incest. It is immoral. Immoral. And I know everyone here understands. Let us agree. One does not have to...
Okay, so, like, I'm being negative today, but, like, look, one little silver lining here. What she just said. It is immoral what Donald Trump has done. For the longest time, the Republicans have been badgering... just been beating the Democrats over the head with the idea that allowing people to have autonomy over their body is immoral. Like, as if allowing somebody to make the choice to end a pregnancy is the Democrats, like, what, forcing the end of a pregnancy? When the exact opposite is true. They're the ones trying to force unwanted childbirth on people. I love that she's taking back this issue and she's calling them out for their own immorality. She's calling them out for their own hypocrisy on this, right? That is great. And it's also, like, really what's transformed this isn't so much the Democrats, because remember, the Democrats are cowards. They need, in order to support, like, any issue of rights, they've got to see, like, I don't know, 70% of people in favor of it before they'll even move, right? So it's because the American people have changed their mind about how they think about abortion, from thinking that this is a, immoral thing done by irresponsible women to looking at it as a right that is now being violated thanks to the Trump Supreme Court. I think that is actually something to have a little bit of hope about.
And in their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. Come on. Come on. And when he was asked on Tuesday night, Donald Trump refused to say that he would veto a national abortion ban. Well, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly sign it into law. We are not playing around. And across our nation,
she's got to use that not going back, right? That instead of saying no, we're not playing around. I get what she's saying, right? But that would have been a great time to get a not going back cheer going on.
we are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won fundamental rights and freedoms, like the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, and the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And here's the thing that I know about all of the North Carolinian leaders who are here. You know this so well, it's part of your DNA. Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. Generations of Americans before us, many from right here, led the fight for freedom. Let's get a medic. Let's get a medic. Do we have a medic? Let's get a medic over there, please. Let's get a medic over there. Yeah, but let's make sure. See, this is who we are. We look out for each other. That's what leaders do, looking out for each other. Okay, we've got a medic. Okay. So generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom, and now the baton is in our hands. The baton is now in our hands. And we who believe then in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. And we who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass an assault weapons ban, universal background check, and red flag laws.
So the Voting Rights Act is something that's been in place for a really long time to try to ensure the right to vote, which has been in question, which has been under threat, right? When after the Civil War, Black people were allowed to vote in this country. As soon as they could muster the political clout to do it, the South was trying to prevent that from happening any which way they could. Voting Rights Act is something that was put in place to fight that, and for a long time it stood to prevent mostly Southern states from targeting the right of the right of Black people to vote. That has been torn asunder by the Supreme Court. Those stipulations have been eroded in many cases. And so, yeah, it needs to be ensconced in the law for it to stick.
So much is on the line in this election. And we got this. We got this. But look, here's the thing. This is not 2016 or 2020. The stakes are even higher. Because 2 months ago, the United States Supreme Court basically told the former president that he will effectively be immune no matter.
Yeah, look, I like this. I like this. Run against the Supreme Court, right? This is the most illegitimate Supreme Court that has sat in a long time. There's massive conflict of interest there. It has been, essentially captured by the Federalist Society with a plan to reform the laws of the United States through the court, right? They bitch about like originalism. They bitch about judicial activism, and then they get their people in and they do judicial legislation, basically. And this needs to be stopped, and the American people are sick of it. And yeah, this is definitely something you can and you should run against, especially if your goal is to in some way reform the way that the Supreme Court works, whether that be through term limits, whether that be through adding more justices to the bench, or all of the above, right? It's important that they talk about this in the campaign.
No matter what he does in the White House. Well, here's the thing. The courts will take care of that. Let's take care of November. How about that? All right? But imagine what that court ruling means. Imagine what that means. Because before, there might have been at least the belief that there would be the threat of consequence. But now there's an explicit ruling from the court that suggests he would be immune. Imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails. Imagine what that would look like. He who has vowed, if reelected, he will be a dictator on day one. He who called for the, quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States. And let us be very clear, someone who suggests that we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again. Never. And put that all in the context of people who have been talking about how he was when they served with him in the White House. People who saw him every day. His national security advisor, his defense secretary, his chief of staff, and his vice president. All of whom have warned America Donald Trump is not fit to be president of the United States. And to never occupy our nation's highest office again. So North Carolina, I believe it all comes down to this. We are here together. We are here together because we love our country. We love our country. And we together understand the awesome responsibility that comes with the greatest privilege on earth. The privilege and pride of being an American. Responsibility. That's right. That's right. That's I do believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country and to fight to realize the promise of America. And so, North Carolina, we have 54 days until Election Day. 54 days until Election Day. And just 35 days until early voting begins. And it's not only the presidency that's on the ballot. There are many, many important races, like Josh Stein running for governor. Whose opponent was handpicked by Donald Trump because he wants a total ban on abortion in this state.
Oh my God. I feel like that is the I feel like that's the least you could say about the so the guy that's running for governor as a Republican in North Carolina is a straight up anti-Semite. Like, is an actual fucking mask off anti-Semite. Like, this guy's a mess. This guy, like that's the least of, like, right? You know, he's
and that is just one.
And yeah, he's most likely not going to win. The Republican race is going, or so the governor's race is going really bad for the Republicans, and that actually you know, spells good things up ballot and down ballot.
Of the many stakes that are at play in this election. But see, we know the power is with the people. The power is with the people. Your voice is your vote, North Carolina. And you are going to make all the difference in the outcome of this race. And look, we know ours will be a very tight race until the very end. We are the underdog. Let's be clear about that. We are the underdog. And so
that's another thing about the debate, is that even though I'm looking at a 538 poll right now, and we're going to go into this next, that shows Kamala Harris with a 60% chance of winning, she conducted herself in the debate as an underdog, right? A lot of this is vibes. A lot of this is how you campaign. A lot of this is how you present yourself. And she presents herself as the insurgent candidate, given the fact that Donald Trump has had 4 years in office and has such a terrible track record. She can actually run against him as the incumbent. That was the weird thing about Biden versus Trump, is in some ways you had incumbent versus incumbent, even though Biden was technically the incumbent, right? Trump has this track record that is almost akin to incumbency, both in terms of it bestowing somewhat of an advantage and diminishing any advantage that Biden would have, but in terms of him having, you know, a record and not a great record to run on. Kamala has done a great job in emphasizing that and putting herself in that position as the underdog, because honestly, worldwide, this is a year for the underdog. This is a year for the challenger, for the insurgent, right? This is not a good year for incumbents. So, and she definitely doesn't want to be tied down. She wants to be unburdened by that which has come before, let's just say, in terms of Biden.
We have hard work ahead of us, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work. And with your help, we will win. We will win. And so I ask you today, North Carolina, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. There you go. God bless you, and God bless America.
There may be people out there.
All right.
Do not spend.
Oh my God.
Jasmine, I know.
So yeah, we haven't watched one of her speeches in a little while. So I wanted to see what her rallies were like, what her speeches were like. She still has the energy. Look, it shouldn't be an issue, but since Trump's made such a big deal about it, I wish for all these rallies, when they take video of it, they would turn the camera around and just kind of show like how full is the rally, how energized it is. But I get the sense that there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of excitement still in there. The honeymoon is over, but she's kind of reignited people's excitement with by just crushing Trump in that debate, by absolutely playing that the way that it should be. So let's take a look now, chat. We've got I want to watch this video about the debate bump. Actually, there's two post-debate. Let's look at the 538 number, since those are the newest numbers, right? And this is what gives her a 60% chance of winning the election.
Welcome back to today's video. Today is Saturday, September 14th, 2024, and today we are going to be talking about the 2024 presidential election forecast from 538, 5 days after the first and only presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. This presidential debate comes at a time where both sides of the aisle have been in a very competitive presidential election. The odds have been tightening over the past 2 weeks, and it has come to a point where any and all impacts on the left wing, on the right wing, have started to change the trajectory of the race in one candidate's favor over the other. Now, Kamala Harris had been at 60% roughly 3 to 4 weeks ago. She had been riding high and had been gaining in terms of the overall forecast. 538 initially had her losing against Donald Trump when she first became the presumptive and then the eventual nominee for the Democratic Party. But as we got closer to the Democratic Convention and as we got closer to that first presidential debate, she had maintained a lead nationwide. But just around a week ago, in fact less than, on Monday evening, 538 had Kamala Harris at just a 55% chance of victory nationwide. Now, you might be thinking 5% really doesn't make a difference, but in an election as close as this one, it absolutely does. And what we've started to see is that this impact in terms of Kamala Harris gaining in support isn't necessarily saying that she's here to completely run off the map, but she is in fact doing better, tremendously better, in some of these battleground states, especially compared to that of President Joe Biden across the nation. And so 538's forecast, what I really want to unpack here is the impact of this presidential debate, as we've started to see new major headlines in terms of national polls from the Morning Consult and Reuters and Ipsos that are showing Kamala Harris expanding her national lead. Not a single poll released nationally over the past 4 days that has been conducted post-debate has shown Donald Trump in the advantage over Kamala Harris. And in a number of battleground state polls too, what are we finding? Kamala Harris is starting to do better. And so
So let's take a look at this sheet really quickly. This is 538. This is the organization that Nate Silver used to be a part of. He's kind of like lost a lot of his credibility recently, and is not right. Like what he predicted, like the Obama win or something like that, and so he's given a lot of credit for that. But regardless, right? 538 is the organization. Now, what they're doing here is they're running simulations. They run 1001. I don't know why 1001. Maybe they're fans of 1001 Nights or something. I don't know. But 1001 simulations, and based on the data, based on the polling data in states and in the country, there's a less than a 1 in 100 chance of no electoral college winner. Okay, so let me show you how that works. Right, in 597 of the simulations they ran, Harris won. In 400 of those simulations, Trump won. In four simulations, there was no winner. What does that mean? That means that it was 269 electoral votes to 269. It takes 270 to win, but there's an even number. So there is a possibility, even without a third-party candidate getting any of the electors, there is a possibility of the race ending with no apparent winner. It's a very low chance, as they say, less than 1 in 100 percent chance. But like out of 1001 simulations, 4 of those times, it's 269 to 269.
Isn't just that either, right? The polls are one thing. The other big part of elections are finances, and Kamala Harris raising $47 million after the first and only presidential debate. This is a huge sum of money with just 2 months to go in the election when Democrats are already sitting on a war.
And we'll do Hassan versus Ethan after this.
Of $500 million. Not to mention that the political betting markets have started to change in favor of Kamala Harris. Today, she stands as the favorite over Donald Trump, despite being in the losing category for the past month on the poly market forecast. And so overall here, what we have found is that Kamala Harris is in fact receiving a debate bump. While it isn't something that would say Kamala Harris is guaranteed the presidency, it puts her closer to matching that magic number of 270, whereas previously it looked a little bit more difficult to get to. So I want to unpack the 538 forecast here showing Kamala Harris with nearly a 20% delta between her and the former president. 60-40 is arguably a position that Democrats would have killed for a year ago and are probably very happy that they're at this point now, but it's still not a point of complacency. But 60-40 does in fact show a clear...
Nathan Drake says a tie means the Republicans win since they will control the majority. Yeah, they do it by state delegations in Congress. So what happens is that they bring all of the House members together from that state, along with the senators, and they have them vote, and that's a state delegation, right? So yeah, if there's if it's 269 to 269, that's what happens.
Advantage for one political party over the other. And in this case, that political party, of course, is the Democratic Party. And we can take a look too. Looking at the forecast over time, right up until this presidential debate, September 10th was debate day, Kamala Harris was at 54% in terms of her odds nationwide. And so in the immediate aftermath of the debate, it didn't look like at least we were on track for an uptick until new debate numbers showed differently. The day after the presidential debate, her numbers stayed roughly the same. On the 12th, they stayed roughly the same. But then our two new sets of national polls came out showing Kamala Harris in a better position, some new statewide polls, and now today she has inched up to a 60% chance of victory this November election. And like I was saying, this has...
Senators don't vote for president, they elect the VP.
Been driven by some battleground states that have historically been very positive for the Republican Party. States like North Carolina and Georgia and Arizona that have started to tighten in a positive way for Kamala Harris and put her in a really strong position when it comes down to these battleground states. Not to mention states like Wisconsin showing her at a 64% chance of victory. States like Michigan showing her a 61% chance of victory. States like Pennsylvania showing her a 56% chance of victory. Because when you take a look at some of these other states, Nevada, for instance, has Kamala Harris at 55-45. Arizona, for instance, has her tied with Donald Trump 50-50. Georgia has Kamala Harris up narrowly 51-49. And North Carolina, a state that Democrats really, really want, has her tied against Donald Trump. The overall electoral map here and the math here is strong for Democrats, especially given that this advantage has now started to increase, right? What it would look like translating to an actual electoral map, I mean, you're looking more at something like this, right? Taking away, not even taking away, we haven't even given it yet, but not including Arizona, which was a Biden state in 2020. But if you include Georgia and the state of Arizona, I mean, chances are Democrats are set in this election, right? They're at 292 electoral votes. Give them Nevada, give them Colorado, give them New Mexico, give them Georgia. They're at 292 electoral votes, more than the magic number of 270. Even if you take away a state like Georgia, for instance, Democrats still maintain at 276. And so Democrats really aren't in a position where, they're losing nationally with the current 538 forecast. And so a good example of this would be a state like Georgia, for instance, that prior to the debate, Donald Trump was not necessarily what I would call the clear favorite, but was still in the advantage, right? When you take a look...
Oh, yeah. So it's even weirder, actually. So if there's if it's 269 to 269, the House votes from the top three presidential candidates who received the most electoral votes. I'm trying to think who would be the third place finisher, right? So, given that I guess RFK Jr. has removed himself. He's still on some ballots, but he's removed himself from the running, right? So I don't know if that would be Jill Stein or the Libertarian candidate, or guessing the Libertarian candidate. Each state, so each state delegation has one vote. So that's what happens, right? So it's in the House of Representatives, but instead of it being like, California has more votes and Wyoming has less votes, California, Wyoming, Delaware, Alaska, Florida, New York, they all have one vote. So literally the majority of the state delegations decide who gets to be president. Must receive at least 26 votes. Yeah. God, what happens if they... What happens if it's 25 to 25? Well, I mean, that probably won't happen. As Nathan Drake said, it would probably be the Republicans determining the presidential candidate and maybe the Democrats in the Senate determining the vice presidential candidate.
Her numbers now, Kamala Harris is at 51%. But right up until that debate, the numbers started to turn away from Kamala Harris. In fact, they're roughly at the highest point they've ever been on the 538 forecast because from the beginning, Donald Trump has been in the advantage. On the moment they started tracking these data points, Donald Trump had a 59% chance of victory.
Ooh, check this out. If the House of Representatives fails to elect a president by Inauguration Day, so it sounds like they keep doing the vote until a candidate gets 26 votes, right? In other words, 26 House delegations. And if that doesn't happen by Inauguration Day, the vice president-elect from the Senate would serve as the acting president. Wait, what happens if they don't select a vice president either?
And you can see that over time, it started to chip, and Kamala Harris started to get into a better position. But even up until that debate, Donald Trump had a 54% chance of victory. Kamala Harris had just 46% across the state. So Democrats now, with Kamala Harris being in the advantage in Georgia, really only have the debate to thank for that.
Okay, so, yeah, but, that's weird. Yeah, they got to have 51. So you got to have 51 votes in the Senate. So that's with 51 senators, right? Or, oh my God, would the vice president be the tie-breaking vote here? Maybe that's what it is. The vice president. So Kamala Harris, ostensibly, if somehow it got to 269 votes, now this won't happen, but if it got to 269 to 269, the House does not give anybody 26 votes, then Kamala Harris would be casting the deciding vote, ostensibly, to elect herself as the president. Or no, to elect Tim Walz. Yeah, wait, yeah. Kamala would cast the deciding vote to make Tim Walz the president. This is a wild scenario, chat. Again, there's less than 1% chance that it's 269 to 269, according to 538.
Hasn't been some type of massive reckoning on the national scale as to who's supporting who, besides the fact that there are voters in these swayable states that are changing their minds after seeing Kamala Harris's debate performance. Not to mention that the national numbers, of course, impact some of these down ballot races. If Kamala Harris tomorrow was to win the national popular vote by 9 points, she's winning Georgia and a whole lot of other states. If it's a 1-point advantage, chances are she's losing Georgia and a whole lot of other states. And so when you start to see Kamala Harris have an impact and a positive one nationally, it does translate to down ballot residual effects or swing state residual effects where Kamala Harris is starting to do better. And so I think this is something that we have seen roughly across the country, right? Arizona is now 50-50, whereas Donald Trump was in the advantage. North Carolina is 50-50, whereas Donald Trump was in the advantage. And the key point here is the word was. Because it is at this point, Kamala Harris had a 60-40 advantage that puts her well within a reasonable chance at winning almost all of these battleground states if she can do everything correctly. It's going to be close, and this feels a lot more like the 2012 election in terms of how close the poll makes it actually feel, but we will see what the actual result ends up being on election night, because it could feel a lot like 2020, where we're waiting for days for polls to be counted, or for votes to be counted, or we're waiting on absentee ballots, or waiting on whatever it might be. We are in for the long run here in this election, and things might not be immediately clear because of how competitive it is. But the good news for Kamala Harris is that she is coming into this after this debate, using it to her advantage. I mean, think about the media narrative and the media coverage so far of Donald Trump since he decided that he's not going to be running, not going to be debating any future debates, right? And so the mainstream media has picked that up. The Democrats have started to turn this into a Donald Trump is scared type of moment. They're even trying to bait him back into a second debate, trying to poke and prod at his ego. It might not work. It might work, though. We don't really know what's going to happen with that part. But Donald Trump probably...
That's kind of how they got him into the first debate.
Probably isn't debating again, which is good news for Kamala Harris because it means that he has no real opportunity with all eyes on him, no real opportunity with, a focus on his candidacy or any of his ideas or anything that he can say directly to the people, because between now and election day, it is nearly just all crunch time. It's about visiting state to state to state to state to rally to rally.
I'm trying to remember, Nathan, what the exact scenario is that puts it at 269.
To rally to rally to voter to voter to voter to voter to.
I think it's something like Kamala. What is it? It's like Kamala. Okay, so Kamala wins Michigan, Wisconsin, loses Pennsylvania, wins Georgia and Arizona, but not Nevada. Is that the one?
Door to door to door to door to election day. And so that's how it's going to be. It's going to be as fast paced as I said it, because that's where we are. This election is so close to being over that any type of bump in the scale here benefiting Kamala Harris is something that will have an impact on this election, whether Republicans like it or not. And this debate was, in fact, that. And so I think we've seen a lot of the Republican and the mainstream media from the right wing say that this has had no positive impact for Kamala Harris, that nobody cares about this debate. But what we are seeing here in terms of the data is, in fact, that there is a positive impact. Now, I touched briefly on the betting markets and the money that Kamala Harris raised in the aftermath of the debate. And I have to say this, right? We talked about how she raised $47 million earlier on in this video. But at the same time, we do need to understand that this election has become so exceptionally expensive. I mean, we saw that Forbes, before the 2024 election season got into full gear, we saw this last year, I covered it in 2023, they were projecting, billions of dollars being spent across many, many election races. And typically speaking, right, both candidates in 2020 combined raised around $1 billion just off of grassroots organizing and small dollar donations. And so it was at that time that we started to realize that this was at a point of no return. The amount of money in politics was, in fact, going to be the most important and driving factor of the presidential race. And for Kamala Harris,
check it out.
That battle. $47 million after the debate matters, right? $47 million to spend in just 7 battleground states when the Biden swing state strategy from 2020 contained 10, 11, 12 battleground states. The Kamala Harris campaign is investing in the states that they need to invest in and focusing on the states they need to focus on. They aren't using their money to spend in states that don't make sense, right? Donald Trump announcing just 2 days ago that he's holding another rally in the state of New York City. In the state of New York, specifically in New York City. I mean, we are at a point where the Trump campaign isn't holding as many rallies as Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, where
And look, that one doesn't make sense, right? Trump was in California, the speech that he gave there, or I think maybe it was a press conference that he gave in California, but he was there to raise money, right? He was there on a fundraiser. He's saying that he thinks he can win California, but he can't. I don't know why he would go back to New York. It would be literally a waste of time.
As the
this is like a very Hillary thing to do.
Trump campaign, whereas the Kamala Harris campaign, they're doing a significant number of stops, but they're also investing in the states, right? When Donald Trump goes to some of these rallies, like he did one in New Jersey and he did another one in Bronx, now he's doing another one in New York City. These are things that don't help your candidacy, right? Voters in Pennsylvania are not tuning in to your New York City rally. They're not going to your New York City rally. They're not making it up out of the state. It is important to note.
Let me show you what kind of scenario that would do this, right? So let's say that Kamala wins Michigan, Kamala wins Wisconsin, loses Pennsylvania, loses North Carolina, wins Georgia, loses Arizona, and loses Nevada. Look at that, 269 to 269. Now that's assuming that she wins one district in Nebraska, which is likely to be what happens. She could possibly win 2. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Maine. Wait. What is this? District 1, District 2, District 3. There's like an at-large vote in each of these states that gives 2 of the electoral votes. Then there's districts. I think there's only 2 districts, though, in Maine. There's like a North District and a South District. But yeah, there's one way that we could end up with 269, 269. And this is a possible scenario. This is entirely plausible. Not likely, but plausible.
That it is the most influential thing as to where you spend your money in a presidential, congressional, gubernatorial, whatever it may be, any race in American politics, where you spend your money is how you win an election. And so for Kamala Harris, their campaign team seems to be very tapped into the fact that because they have so much money, they can really flood the airwaves in these battleground states. They can expand the number of field offices in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada, the 7 states that they are slated starting after Labor Day. They have already started to spend over $250 million, $250 million in advertisement spending on these battleground states. They are drowning Donald Trump in cash. They are drowning Donald Trump's campaign by outspending and outpacing and outorganizing and out fundraising. They are at a point, too, where because of all the money they raised up until that Democratic convention, they could easily make it to November without running out of money, even by investing in all of the states they need to invest in. And so Kamala Harris not only now is building up where she is for this election, but potentially for a future one. I don't imagine there will be that much money raised after the 2024 election, but all I can say is this. The money that is being spent now and will continue to be spent is being spent in the states that matter. Kamala Harris's campaign team knows where to invest, and it looks like they're using that 7-state strategy to win the election. And I genuinely believe it when I say this, that I believe it's going to pay off based on where we are right now, based on what we've seen in how the Democratic Party has taken this debate and boosted their odds at winning nationally, right? Taking the way that Democrats have taken where they were in some of these swing states and boosted their odds in those. And so what I think has been just really, really clear over the past 6 months is that the Biden-Harris campaign turning into a Harris-Walz campaign, they knew what they were doing. They at least knew how to invest their money, and they knew how to raise the money. Was the candidate at the top of the ticket the person that was going to bring them over the finish line with Biden-Harris? Chances are no. That's why Biden dropped out of the race. But Kamala Harris very seemingly much can do it. And that's why you're starting to see people, when they watch her on the debate stage, when they watch her interact with former President Trump, when they watch her, just generally speaking, at rallies, right, on advertisements, online, they take a liking to her.
What channel is this? This is Let's Talk Elections.
We've seen her favorability rating completely rebound ever since she became the Democratic nominee, right? Just right before we saw the swap out, right around the time of July 15th, we saw that Donald Trump had a higher favorability rating than that of Kamala Harris. Today, that is absolutely not the case. In fact, what we did see right before she became the Democratic nominee for president and was endorsed by Joe Biden when he dropped out of the race was that she hit one of her lowest favorability ratings in the entire history of her vice presidency. So 3.5 years, hitting almost her lowest point right before she became the Democratic nominee. And now today, she is nearly tied even with her unfavorability rating and favorability rating. She was down 15, 20 points. Today, she has narrowed that up. And that only happens because the candidate at the top of the ticket has a campaign team that knows how to campaign. That only happens when the person at the top of the ticket receives the support necessary to get across the finish line or get exceptionally close. This election is no longer about the lesser of two evils situation that it turned into in the Biden versus Trump matchup. Voters are inspired on the left about Kamala Harris in a way that they were not inspired about Hillary Clinton, and in many ways even were not inspired about Joe Biden in the 2020 election. And when we take a look at the political betting markets, who people believe are going to win, she actually wasn't doing as well as she is doing today when you take a look back at the history since around the time of the Democratic convention. Around the time of the DNC, she started to see a bump, but after that, it really started to dwindle. Poly markets started to turn away from Kamala Harris, and she ultimately never reached that majority back up until today when we saw her tick back up just actually yesterday, in fact. So yesterday and today, all because of what? The presidential debate. And when I take a look at the national forecast, with states like Georgia on the 538 forecast and North Carolina within reach, Arizona within reach, it seems to be a very realistic possibility that based on what we're seeing in the data, that in this post-debate bump, should the election be held today, Kamala Harris could win 319 electoral votes. That's a non-insignificant number, and that would be
That is wild.
a massive victory for Vice President
I don't think that they're saying that that's likely. They're just saying that's possible.
Harris. I mean, that would be rewriting the electoral map from the 2020 election when Democrats have largely been focused on playing defense, right? When we take a look at those states the Democrats are investing in with Kamala Harris, it very much is not taking anything for granted. They're focusing on Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, all states that Biden won. They're focusing on Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, all states that Biden won. And the only swing state they're focusing on that they lost in the 2020 election is the state of North Carolina. Democrats aren't heavy investing in states like Florida or Texas or Ohio or Iowa, and in a perfect world, maybe they would be. But they are realizing to meet this moment, they need to solidify their base in those 7 battleground states that truly will determine the future of this nation. States like New Hampshire and Virginia and Minnesota and Colorado and New Mexico are states the Democrats, Republicans rather, would love to invest in, but aren't investing as much as in the 7 battleground states because Democrats know they're going to win there, and so do Republicans too. Same thing with Ohio and Iowa and Florida and Texas. Democrats would love to invest there, but Republicans know they're going to win there, so they don't need to spend much money there, and Democrats know Republicans are going to win there. Even in their perfect scenario, they would be winning there too. And so Kamala Harris's debate performance doesn't exactly shake up the race in a way that means all of a sudden she is guaranteed the presidency. But what she did on that debate stage was completely halted any conversation around her momentum ending, but rather expanded on that momentum that came from the announcement, that came from the VP announcement, that came from the convention, and now is coming from the debate. And she's setting herself up to a pathway to victory, where she's gaining in terms of overall odds. Her polling numbers are starting to do better, and while I do believe in around a month, I wouldn't be shocked if we got sets of polls that showed this race just as close as it is today, because I don't think we're on track for Kamala Harris to have a blowout election. I still believe between now and November, not much really is going to change. But there is, in fact, a benefit of being up 60-40 instead of 51-49. And Kamala Harris's campaign and herself will know this very well on Election Day, as the results come in, as we start to see what happens in these battleground states, as we start to see who's the eventual winner in the presidential election. Because what we know about our presidential race this time is, sure, it absolutely is close. But when you are moving the needle even slightly, it matters. When you look at states like Georgia that were decided by 11,000 votes in the 2020.
Oh, there's 4 combinations. 1, Georgia, North Carolina. Are you okay? Sorry, the 4 combinations if Trump wins these, or 4 combinations if Kamala wins these.
20 election. When you take a look at states like Arizona that were decided by roughly a similar amount of electoral votes. When you take a look at states like Pennsylvania that were decided by just under 100,000 votes in a state with millions of voters. Same thing in Wisconsin, same thing in Michigan. You know that every little moment, good or bad, matters in a presidential election. And Democrats know that all too well. And so Kamala Harris right now, expanding her advantage on the national 538 forecast isn't too much of a shock. We saw in the immediate aftermath that voters did positively respond.
Okay, so if Kamala wins Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona, loses what? Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. If she wins Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Nevada, loses North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, wins North Carolina, Arizona, Wisconsin. Oh wait, that's 2 North Carolinas. Did you mean NV on that third one? Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and without winning the 2nd district in Nebraska, which is the one that she's actually favored to win. There's a little tiny district in, I'm not sure which city, but I'm assuming it's a big city in Nebraska. What is the big city out there? I don't know. And that's the 2nd district, right? And then, oh my God, I'm trying to remember, is the 3rd district outside of that? What swing state can Trump win?
To Kamala Harris's debate performance. But now we have the
like any of them, they're swing states.
Actual quantifying numbers to prove that the forecast here has improved for Kamala Harris.
I figured you meant Nevada on 3. So Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and North Carolina, losing Georgia, losing Pennsylvania, losing Wisconsin and Michigan.
And has set her up for a higher chance at victory than she has ever been in the past 2 weeks, which really goes to show that this debate, while seemingly marginal on the grand scheme of things, actually does make an impact, all in favor of Vice President Harris. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the top left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2024 presidential election analysis videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you.
All right. So we're going to get to the main topic for tonight. Although it looks like another topic might be rearing its head. So stick around, chat. Either today or tomorrow, I will be talking about some major weirdness from somebody you know really well. Somebody that might be in a real paranoid state and is apparently talking about me on stream right now. You can imagine who I might be talking about. Obviously, it's Waluigi. Obviously, no, it's Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein is accusing me of being a Hassan mod, and no. Anyway, you can guess. You can guess. All right. So what are we doing right now? We are moving. Let's see. Let's get back to this scene right here. Yeah. I'm kind of weirdly excited about doing this Hassan content, this Ethan content, despite the fact that it's just like, I don't know, part of it just like, it sucks. Because I wish that somebody that like Ethan Klein that says that he is pro-Palestinian, he is anti-Netanyahu, he is anti genocide, anti what's happening to the Palestinians, would not try to start drama with somebody who's not really Don't you hate that, chat? When there's somebody that you're not even trying to talk about, but they keep talking about you. This is a situation I can relate to very much right now. This is a situation I can relate to right at this very moment. Speaking of situations, let's see what the situation is with the dono goal. So right now, we're in a good position to be able to hit that dono goal. We're at 55% out of 100%. We just got to get to, just got to hit 45 more percent in order. In fact, there might be more. I feel like I might not have counted everyone's. If I didn't count yours, let me know. And if I didn't add your, your donation to the topic of your choice, also let me know. Because I want to make sure that I put your money where your mouth is. If I'm looking on shorts, which I don't know how much we're going to count shorts for. Like, look, I decided to do shorts to, count shorts to like take a poll in shorts, but 30% for MTG versus Laura Loomer, 27% breathe into your balls, 25% Brianna Wu left the left, AJW Simps for Anna only at 17%. If I look at the other poll, we got 28% Brianna Wu leaves the left, 27% MTG versus Laura Loomer, 25% Anna Simps for Anna Kasparian. MTG, no, not MTG, AJW. That's who's simping for Anna Kasparian. But that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're dealing with right now. It's pretty close. It's pretty close on that side. We got 102 votes as well. 89 likes in this chat. So if you haven't liked it already, make sure to like it. We're about to get into this Hassan tent right now. I don't know if we should. Yeah, let's start off on what I know is going to be the most productive video, the most relevant video. North Star Radio.
And
it
what
should
would
be. It's our friend of the VOD, North Star Radio. Pretty cool content creator. I think we've watched his videos before on socialism, actually. We watched a video of his that I was really impressed with. He also covers, some of the goings on in the Hassan community. I feel like he's like a fan of Hassan's. He's like a community member, right? He's in Hassan's chat. And sometimes he does videos about the goings on with Hassan, which is good because there's so many people, there's so many Destiny dick writers that are kind of like, covering the Hassan Destiny thing from Hassan's point of view. So it's nice to have somebody that's like in the other direction, but we're going to get into this right now. Should we consolidate chats? Should we consolidate chats now? Oh, actually, you know what? It's this one. It's actually this one.
Capital owners right now.
We're going to watch it this way. Like I told you this before, right? So there's the video by North Star Radio, but Hassan actually reacted to it. And so what we're going to be doing here, and I know it seems like weird, chat, watching somebody react to another video, trust me, there's a reason. There's a method to my madness, all right? And that method is that we're going to take a look at what Hassan has to add to North Star Radio's depiction, North Star Radio's narrative of the entire situation, going back to before the leftovers, going back to, where Ethan Klein, where his content comes from, frenemies, all this kind of stuff, right? We're going to look into this. I need to make sure, chat, is there anybody in chat who's donated and I haven't gotten your topic of choice? I want to make sure that I'm adding all of the donations to the dono goal, all the donations. Like Thomas Jerome, for instance. I don't know if I've gotten your preferred. Remember, when you donate, you can let me know either if it's a super chat, you can let me know in the super chat. If it's a throne donation, you can let me know in the throne donation. I think there's some mechanisms like that on Twitch as well. Anything else, just let me know in chat after you donate which of these topics you want to see as the bonus content, and I'll be more than happy to put your money where your mouth is. Isaiah says, I could see Trump winning AZ, Georgia, one of AZ, Georgia, or Nevada. I mean, look, she could lose all of those states, all right? She could lose Arizona, lose Georgia, lose Nevada, and if she wins Pennsylvania, she's golden, right? Pennsylvania is huge. Now, it's not like definitive, though, right? She could lose Pennsylvania, win North Carolina, win Georgia, win Arizona, and I think still lose Nevada and still win, right? So there's other paths. She's got multiple paths, is what I'm saying. What happened to Carrie Fake? Is she still a threat? She's still out there? Is she running? I feel like she is. I feel like she is running, but probably Hassan to the future if you're the doc. Also, oh my God, who made the joke? Somebody made a really deep cut joke in Shorts chat. Let's merge chats. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so if you're in the Shorts chat right now, you are coming with us, all right? We're all going to merge into one big happy chat in the full-scale stream. There we go. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there. So click on that link that I'm giving you in Shorts chat. I'm also going to pin the message, and I'm also going to make it really easy for anybody who gets left behind to maybe be swooped up. I don't know how this raiding thing works, but I can raid myself apparently. It's technically a redirect. It's not, we're not raiding ourselves, but there we go. We're all ready to make this shit work, all right? I just need you to click on that link and get into that chat. Make sure to like the stream on your way out. Is the New Jersey Devil real? I don't know. I'm not from the East Coast. I don't know anything about the I don't even know really what the what is the New Jersey Devil other than the hockey team? New Jersey Devil, just deer? Wait, the New Jersey Devil is a deer? Oh, you've only seen deer. I gotcha. Hassan tent. Yes, Hassan tent. So yeah, we're gonna do this could be the last segment. It's gonna be a long segment, right? But it could be the last segment of the stream. It all depends on if we hit the dino goal, right? If we hit that dino goal, we get that 55% to 100% by the end of the stream. I raid myself, yes. Then the bonus content will drop. I should have put a chat chooses violence in here. We should find a way to throw like a wild card into there and say chat wants to choose violence and get a sneak preview of what's coming down the line, possibly for tomorrow. Look, I'm not trying to fill the weekends with drama for you, but sometimes it's sometimes that choice is not up to me. All right? And tonight might be one of those nights. I'm trying to find out. I want to make sure I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it sounds like somebody has chosen violence before, and by violence, I mean like unsupported allegations that they pulled out of their ass. I'm not sure though. I don't believe everything that I read, so especially when the drama frogs are chirping. Your future is what you make of it. Yeah, that's right. Well, let's make a good future tonight. All right, so I'm gonna give you a little bit longer to get in there. Let's see. We should switch over to this. Yeah, that looks good. So we got Hassan. He's gonna be watching a video by North Star Radio. I'm gonna link you. Oh my God. I want to link you to North Star Radio because I really like this content creator. I think he's really awesome, and I really like his content. Wait, oh, Ethan. Sorry, I'm just like, wait, what? I wasn't sure what you were saying there, Nero. I guess you're referring to Ethan. Talk about the allegations. We're gonna talk about some very weird allegations, possibly. All right. I don't know though. I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to get debated on what might be fake news, but anybody in chat want to guess what I'm talking about? Anybody have an idea? Anybody been in other streams? Heard any strange allegations tonight? I still don't know like what to believe here. But we might have to get to it tomorrow. I don't know. But I do want to, yeah, cat hisses and claws is violence. Well, I'm definitely not the one hissing tonight, right? I got no...
Izzy Sanchi, super chatted $5. Providing a quick dono, I vote for Star Wars Outlaws or AJW Sim.
Star Wars Outlaws? Wait, what is that? Thank you for the quick dono, by the way, Izzy Sanchez. Or Izzy Sanchi, as the sassy British voice likes to call you for some reason. I still haven't figured that out. Even in French, it would be Izzy Sanche, but that's not. It's not supposed to be a French voice. It's supposed to be in English. It's supposed to be a British voice. Star Wars Outlaws? Wait, what could that be? Rihanna Wu? Oh, Breathe Into Your Balls? Maybe? No, that's Spaceballs. MTG? That's not. That's gotta be AJW Simps. 21%. I think that's what you want. I think that's where you want me to put it. So yeah, we're about to get going on this. All right, so we're gonna raid the remainder of the short stream into the main chat. Make sure to get in here. Click the link, please. It's still NCC. Yes, it's still NCC. We're not raiding you into a different stream. We're not raiding you into a different stream. You're just gonna keep watching the stream, and this is the only way to keep watching the stream, right? So make sure to click on the link that I've got pinned, or here, I'll put it down a few more times. Here we go. What's the link? There's the link. Yeah, you're gonna be in the same stream. It'll just be a different view. So there we go, and I will hit end stream and hopefully raid the rest of you into where you need to go.